Hiya, how's it going? Good to see everyone. This is the Mutant Hunter Reaver Station. Finally coming out of hiding. Hey, welcome in, Azrael. How's it going? All right, hold on. Let me check the audio real quick. It's all funky, so one sec. All right, hold on. Let me check the audio. Oh, that's not bad. I have harnessed the audio skills like a fine blade. It is sharp. That is a lie. Audio's still scuffed, but it's a little better. Clinkfur, never! I'll be a Clinkfur if I can get a coffee machine. Like it's like on my shoulder, right? I click a little button on my shoulder, and you can like, I hope the finger while I'm like talking to somebody, and they're like, what the? And then all you hear is like bubbling, and then steam, and the milk's like being steamed. And then like a little rod's like bring up the cup and carry it and bring it over my shoulder, and I'm able to like grab it and just start sipping. That would be pretty dope, would it not? Just no sudden movements though. I don't want to get burned. Just saying. Alright, yeah, welcome in. Good to see ya. We're definitely going to be talking a lot about Raytress today. I may skip a few things that's not like too relevant, you know, it just kind of drags out, but I'll hit some of the main points. I've been working like crazy on this guy for quite a while now, for several weeks, pretty nonstop. This is currently at, a D&D thing, basically. It's not D&D, but it's gonna be played like a D&D game. Just a tabletop role-playing game. Same caliber, but I changed a lot of rules, a lot of names, a lot of different stuff, monsters, and whatever. Yeah, it's gonna be its whole new thing, and it's a whole different battle mechanics as well, and simple character design, and we'll get into that. You know, hopefully this is gonna catch on pretty fast. But we are up at, I'm not gonna lie, 116,601 words. Let that number sink in. I've been going crazy on this thing. That's 365 pages. So I don't know how much we're gonna get through tonight, but depending on how much I skip, I might be able to get through quite a bit of it. Reminds me of a certain clap, a mouse, and a mace. Oh, you thinking about Rico? Kind of sounds like that. She's a clown, kind of, sort of. Jester, so to speak. Super cool jester. Yeah, I hope she returns to streaming soon. I know she's doing better. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are missing her. Yeah. Can't wait to do more collabs with her. She's been super cool. Super chill. Oh, and she might want to do D&D as well, too. She's showing interest in it. She plays it, so yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. Yeah. But the way that I'll talk about this, too, I'm going to try to be as sharp as I can, because I might go back and edit some of this, you know, in a way, so I could use it as like an explainer, you know, short form explainer of certain things. Yeah. I meant the terrible house fire at the family reunion. Huh? A certain terrible house fire, and a clown, a mouse, and a mace. Not gonna lie, I'm not making the connection there. No! Dang it. Yeah, I'm not sure, Azrael. I don't know. I'm only thinking of like Mickey Mouse holding a mace. I don't know why. But that's all that's coming to mind. I'm a lost cause. I actually got out my 1d20 dice and started rolling just to test some things. Man, they'll never get old, right? Just throwing this thing just feels exciting. You failed. Never rely on the Clinkfur. Ah! It's probably some show I haven't seen. I bet. The last one that you tested me on, I had no clue about it because I never seen it. Dang it. I still need to finish the horror film, It, the second one. It's that second coming or something. Like every 24 years he wakes up or something and has to eat. He has to eat people and grow powerful in their fear. Pretty cool concept. Stephen King was cooking on that. But yeah, hopefully this would become a pretty good edited video. But yeah, let's get into it. This will be Raitress, so it's going to be based on the lore of my books as well, but it's separate from that. So I have a pretty good foundation on this already. Good lore building, world building. A lot of the rules are the same. And as we get more further into this, I think it'll actually help players as well, especially RMs. Because the way I'm trying to design this, I'm not going to lie, chat, I'm trying to make this as motivating, aspiring, and pushing people to play the game as much as possible. It's the way that I designed the battle mechanics, so people can work together and develop them as we go. And as the battle changes, people have to kind of like change their tactics or buy with experience points certain special abilities in order to adapt to it. So you always got something you're going for, and also within the lore, it always kind of gives you something to aim for. But yeah, I kind of like D&D game. I should put TTRPG. Yeah, let's do that. Boop. Fixed. But yeah, what makes this game special? Oh, let me tell you. It's quest driven, so you pick the story and quest. So it is really, 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 really quest driven. Even with the main mission or story plot, there could be quests that you could choose to help you gain items or gain weapons or experience or clues even to help you out. And you got classes that actually kind of help you with certain quests. So I'm always like leaning on, actually, and figuratively leaning, you have to lean on your fellow players and their class perks and stuff like that. So that leads us into our next one. Each class has their own perks and special abilities that no others can get. And we'll definitely be getting into that. I really developed that like crazy. Most of the classes have a pretty good foundation. So, I mean, I don't know about you, chat, but every time I'm looking at like even from like a video game or in books, I'm always super excited to see what kind of special abilities characters have and what kind of advantages they have over others, and see what really matches my play style. And I'm not going the traditional route of like rogue or archer or warrior. There's going to be like subvert classes of that, but they're very specific. So I'm changing up the class aspect very much so as well. And it's going to have multi-world and multi-dimensional worlds and realms. So you can actually travel through space. You can travel through dimensions and go in dimensional worlds that other people have created, and there's lore behind that, and they're realms. So they're whole different realms within the world, but they either operate behind different rules or the whole reality has different rules. So you really have to adapt to the world. Makes it really cool. And mixed time eras. So you got areas in the maps and stuff like that. Raitress, where there's like medieval areas. There's high-tech future areas, futuristic and stuff. There's large and giant normal cities. And there's an extra degree of like, sometimes they don't allow certain things. Like the giant cities, they may not want magic, right? And some medieval places may not want guns. So we'll get into that a little bit later too. So it really just changes a lot of cool things with that. I remember a Wygor and a Torbeck. A Wygor and a Torbeck. Is that from D&D? I actually don't recognize those names. Huh. Wine break. Gotta recharge. Gotta recharge already. I haven't yapped like this in a little while. Well, that's a lie. I yapped quite a bit today at work. Me and this other guy, which were on the lower end of the workforce, we had to stay over while everyone else got to go home. But I got to leave early, so that's cool. I don't know if that leaves you to your judgments. I see. I'll have to look it up after stream. What a Wycor and a Torbeck is. Almost sounds like something from Star Wars, especially a Torbeck. Like the Torbeck alien kind. Or Torok, like an old game. It makes me think of that for some reason. Man, that's such a good game too. The weapons like were out of this world, fighting dinosaurs and stuff. Man, I tell you, it was so fun. Especially this one gun where you shoot, like it charges and you shoot like a big huge red ball and it freaking blows up everything. Wrong? I'm sure I'm wrong. I don't know what they are. I made a good guess though. I think they're Star Wars. They could be Star Wars related. Just saying. I don't think it's that far up. But yeah, feel free to let me know too. Yeah, and then it's gonna have a stepladder method to be granted in areas. Work to gain access. So we'll get into that too. Like there's gonna be rep. So every time you succeed in certain quests and missions and stuff, you'll get a point of rep or more. And that'll actually, and it goes up to 25. So your real world actions actually play a role in this. And you can get certain perks later on, or you can get a rider, like a creature that you can ride and stuff like that, or assist you. Kind of like a chocobo in Final Fantasy. And you're able to access greater quests and stuff like that. So it's really cool in that aspect. It's the world will actually kind of get to know you. Fine, they're from Legend of Adventress. Oh man, what is that? See, Azrael, I didn't get it because I don't know what that is. I've never heard of Legend of the Adventress, but it sounds fancy. Yeah, I never actually heard of that. Legend of Adventress. Sounds cool though. Dang. Yeah, it's got that stepladder method and stuff like that. So it always gives you something to kind of strive for. So we got that, and then combo and ability combinations. That's pretty big. You're able to actually this has different versions. You got different combos where you can use them to help each other out based on what the combo does. Or you can combine the combos and make like a master ability, is what I call it. So you got that too. And so you have to work up the experience and train and battle. And sometimes even work up the stamina points, which is how you use to execute the special abilities. And sometimes mana. So there's a lot of things you got to build, even when it comes to the mechanics of the combat. But don't worry, it's super easy. It goes by pretty smooth. None of this is super complicated or anything. That's what I love about this. I want to definitely design a game that's smooth and easy to read and understand. A D&D channel where unhinged comedy exists in a D&D campaign. Oh, that sounds cool. Okay, I've been watching a lot of shows and podcasts about D&D. I actually never heard of that one. That sounds pretty cool. Huh. You have to check it out. I've been looking at a lot of them just to see how people play D&D, different styles, all that different stuff. Trying to soak up as much as I can. You got to, right? If you're gonna go out and achieve something in the field, you gotta learn a lot about it. Or, hopefully some of it lingers in my subconscious, bouncing around up there with the limited brain cells. But yeah, we got the combo stuff, and we got magic spell combos. That's pretty interesting, right? We're gonna get into that. New counter and extension mechanic. So you get counters and extensions. So we're definitely gonna get into that. So in the midst of combat, there's some things that you can do, and it's gonna make fighting even more exciting or even more suspenseful. So while you're fighting somebody, you don't know if they're gonna pull this thing off or not. And same goes for you. And then new caliber mechanic. You know, and that goes with some attacks, and also goes with like the dice roll. So normally, I think we'll get into that, but as a nutshell, is the critical hit, nat 20. I'm gonna be calling it true caliber. So true caliber, pretty much a nat 20, and then it's gonna be 18, 19, and 20 where you get caliber points. And when you get up 4 caliber points, you can do kind of like what the Final Fantasy thing does. Is you can do like a limit break or an overdrive. And I call it actually an overdrive. And it's just a unique special ability that you can use. You either got like a attack one or a buff one, and we'll get into that. And then you do got training, buffing skills, and they only stay until end of session, but that's the exciting part, and I'll get into that. And it motivates players to keep playing longer to make it count. They also feel hard-earned. Trying to get into the psychology of this too. And the new classes, abilities, monsters, powers, items, and locations to be introduced. Easy and quick character setup. That's a big one right there. All right. I want that to be priority once I get everything done. The character sheet and setting up characters. For sure. And this stuff I'm going to pretty much skim over. It's just like helpful stuff. But D&D styles of play. This is like to introduce. Actually, let's change that. TTRPG. Just to help new players or certain people that's not too familiar with it to kind of have a direction in it. You know, introduce them into it. Like what kind of games you want to play. Like the slow burn. Like you do small builds and you do mystery and you do things of that nature. You know. Leave breadcrumbs and stuff. And then there's adventurers, you know, where this is like the full understanding, cooperation, and well-designed story from the RM. And every player is there to engage and bring it to its conclusion. So you're really focusing on the adventure the entire time. You know, it's all about story and what you're doing. And then poetic RP is like the DM pretty much, which is going to be the RM actually. Change that. And the RM is basically going to give a lot of breadcrumbs and food and things to munch on for the characters so they can interact a lot more. You know, play on their backstories, lead it into the story, you know, like really have the players interact in this one. Ride and Die is like battles, and Harness Endeavor is like a balance of both, and all kinds of different stuff. But we'll do that later. And there's going to be a style of gameplay that I kind of hope that people will adopt a little bit. So things will be, one, a little bit more fair, or not even fair, just balanced. And it actually puts less stress on the RM, the Rain Trace Master. You know, for a rule of thumb, having fun and being fair is the best way to play the game. Sometimes as the RM, it can be difficult or hard, or sometimes nerve-wracking to decide who to hit. There are several ways you can approach this. You know, and these are just kind of the ways, and you can split them as well, by the way. But let the dice decide. Say if you have 4 players, let a 1d4 decide it. Whatever the monster's going to hit. You know, you can show them and everything too. Or if there's 6 players, do a 1d6 die. And whatever it lands on, that's who the monster attacks. So you don't have to worry necessarily about that. But the thing is, some players don't like that, and I understand why they wouldn't like that, because it don't feel intentional. It's all random. They want the game to feel alive. So there is other ways to do it, and there's immersion, which it's like the common sense one, where if you attacked a monster or a bad guy or anything like that, or a bandit, it's reason to say that it'll most likely attack you in response, right? Or if you provoke it, or you make some big speech, or you act like a leader or something, then you may be attacked with the arrows, you know, volley or magic, because you're bringing the team together. You know, so the RM can really play at who to attack based on the narrative, you know? That's another cool way, where it just makes logical sense. Salt, vinegar, and everything sinister. I cast your food being extremely bitter. You made me think of Powerpuff Girls. That was kind of a sneaky way to say something else adjacent to that. That's pretty clever, Azrael. I like that. I might use that. And tricks on you. I'm drinking wine, and this is not bitter at all. Mmm, sweet and tasty. And oh yeah, and I do have a system too of how to fight. I think I reiterate this, like say this again later on, but I do that mostly with bosses. That's why I do it. But there's a system that you can probably follow with fighting as well. I think it's pretty cool. Too late, it's copyrighted. No! Dang it. How dare. That's true too. They say once you write something down, like story-wise or anything like that, it belongs to you. There's no getting around it. Who says it's just your wine? It is just my wine. It's mine. You can't have it. No one can have it. Never. Unless in the future you buy your interest the book, then I might share a little. Maybe just a little. It is too delicious to drink it all alone, I guess. Oh yes, you will. Never. It is too delicious. But yeah, with the system that we can go with is, if you're having trouble how to respond with a monster, have them literally not go all out. Don't have them go too crazy. And once they get like to half life or almost dead, then start bringing out like all their special abilities, almost like they're freaking out, they're panicking. You know, make it interesting when it comes to that. You know, because obviously as the DM or the RM, so to speak, you know, you don't have to win. You know, you don't have to completely dominate the battlefield. I mean, the whole point is to make the whole thing fun for the players. So sometimes following this system will make it like that. You know, and I also got the 1-2 and then jab, which is my favorite. This one right here, and I'll tell you why. I played Legend of Legaia way back in the day, and there's other games that do this too. But there's this crab monster. It's one of the first major real bosses I think you fight. That's pretty challenging. But it's a giant crab, and it's pretty strong. But it attacks you either with like a physical hit, you know, like its giant pinchers, or it'll attack you again with its pinchers, or shoot like a little bubble at you or something like that, if I remember correctly. But always, like in the third round, it'll charge. Like it's preparing like an attack and gathering energy. You're like, oh crap, what's this? Oh man, I feel like something's gonna come really hard at us. And a lot of people, I mean, me too included, I started attacking. And then boom, the next round was like a giant tidal wave and nearly wiped out the entire team. So you could do like 2 normal attacks and then have the boss or have the enemy do like a special ability or do something unique. And then just do 2 normal attacks and then do something unique, special ability, or, you know, things of that nature. So people, I think, would be worried that this is predictable. But it don't have to be like that, because you still, one, have to contend with it, right? And you really don't truly know what they're going to do. And on top of that, it kind of helps build suspense too. You know, when you're with your player friends, like, okay, he's getting ready to do the thing. You know, let's prepare for this round. You know, so you could lean into that. It depends on who you're playing with and the play style, but it's also very balanced for the RM to play the enemy as well. Yeah, I write right here, it works incredibly good for boss battles. I think it's really good depending on what boss you're playing. And you got last efforts, so they use normal attacks until they're nearly dead. Or you got the fight all out, and this could be narrative, where they just go crazy. They waste everything without a second thought at the players. And then pretty much it's just normal attacks in the end. And I got all kinds of different stuff that I can get into. And then we got rules and gameplay, which a lot of them's going to kind of lean a little bit more on D&D. But, there's a little bit different stuff. A lot of this is kind of common sense stuff. What a negative roll would be, with the negative on it. So you subtract it from your roll. Positive roll, you get, +5. So obviously if you roll a dice, you get a +5 on that rice rice. The dice roll. Oh no, it got me thinking about food. No. And then camp and recover is going to be an interesting one, because I'll be interested in introducing the 24-hour point system. And this is to give the game urgency. And actually, they kind of help the RM in some ways too. 14. Actually, no, I'm going to put this to 6. Be changing that. But camp and recover. There's going to be a 24-hour system in this. So you got it's pretty much 24 points to use. But every time, like say you're on the road, or you're fighting, or you're in a tavern, this, that, and the other thing, and you almost like the adjacent to D&D's like long rest or short rest, you'll just have a camp and recover. So it'll take 6 points, which is basically 6 hours for you to recover all your mana, your HP, and or maybe life points. I haven't figured out which one I want to name it yet though. But we'll just say HP for now. And all other gauges. So your power gauge, your stamina gauge, all that stuff. But you waste 6 points of that. So basically, you're wasting hours within the day, because you can't infinitely do it, right? And then you don't want to be like, fight the next battle, and then, okay, we're going to long rest. Fight the next battle, we're going to long rest. So other than putting pressure on the RM to be like, sorry guys, you can't necessarily recover, you got too much going on, the cave's suddenly falling apart, you'll die if you rest, you don't want to give them that narrative. You can actually, you can still do that, depending, but camp and recover and the 24-hour point system will help with that. But it'll also involve other things too. Let's change that to 1 and 2 hours. But camp and recover is going to be 6 hours. So there's several times you can actually fully recover, but use it wisely, right? And training when you want to increase your stats, because leveling up won't do that. Only buying certain tiers, like with your experience points, can actually buff you up, and you have to earn that. And then so you can spend hours to train for that, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And travel, if it's like way too crazy, like you don't have to do that. You can ask your RM to see if you bypass this. I mention it here, but if you want to travel somewhere very far, it only makes sense that for you to like gain advantage or grab something from a treasure chest or something of that nature. It may take an hour to do. So you either risk it for the biscuit, so to speak. And then you got searching. So people can't infinitely search forever, and bring some sort of urgency to it. So say, you're low on healing items, mana items, things are getting pretty desperate, SP is low, stamina points, and then you can do searching. And so then you can actually kind of find items and stuff like that, and recovery items, basically. Yeah. And you got fast travel that's in this. So you can portal for 30 coins. You can fly on a rider, pretty much renting it. for 25, a ground rider, and then fast horseback carriages. And it kind of goes a little bit into that. That's something you can read whenever this comes out. And then it hits tips and hints and stuff. I drop a lot of these too to give emphasis on things, or why I made the decision, or just to clarify stuff. And of course, you're gonna have not 3 actions or 2 main actions that D&D had. You're actually gonna have 6. Where this is the stuff you can do in battle. So you can do your combat action, which is like attacking or throwing an item, like an attack item or something, or things of that nature. Or you get the support action, which you can use healing and restorative items and certain other items and stuff like that. And you can do guard, which this one's a really important one, because guard, it does 2 things. One, it restores your stamina. So when you run out of that, you can restore your stamina. But you pretty much skip your turn by doing that. And then whatever armor class you had will deduct whatever damage is done to you. So you're pretty much going to take the hit no matter what, because you're guarding. You're kind of staying in place and resting while staying vigilant. So, but you do have an armor class that can help you out. And then obviously there's things you can do later, like putting spells on you and enchantments and certain other things that can help you out. Even your friends can help you out. So yeah, it's just a pretty cool way to do that thing. And you got rest, so you can actually recover a lot of SP, but it leaves you vulnerable and it leaves you completely skipping your turn. So this is more SP and maybe even like power or something like that of certain other power gauges that you can use, but it puts you at more of a risk, so they can actually hit you a lot more easier, and you don't have armor to help you. High risk, high reward. And then you got your movement action, so you to move around and stuff like that. 30 feet, 45 feet, 60 feet, stuff like that. And you just got pass. You can, almost no one will use this, but you can use this as like a narrative thing or whatever. But it's there. And it just kind of goes into the details of it all. Trying to get specific. And I might talk about counter and extension a little bit later. But yeah, like I said in previous ones, the counter is in case someone hits you, either with a normal attack or a special ability. You can use a SP point, stamina point, to attack normally, like a kick or a punch or a headbutt or a knee. And you can do 1d4 damage. And sometimes if you have bonuses, you'll be able to do a little bit more damage. And there's skills a little bit later on that can actually stun or daze them. So there's possibilities later down the road as well. And then you got Chi Masters that could do 1d6 damage. So they're big counterers. There's a couple other ones that's a little bit good with countering, but sometimes you can time this incredibly well. And if they're low on HP, you might be able to stop their special ability in mid-go. And extensions, like after your attack, believe it or not, if you want to add like a little bit of extra damage by adding 1 SP point, and sometimes it just makes it, sound or look cooler, after like a big slash and you spin around and kick them in the face, you can always add like a nice little touch. Darn, you're still alive. Indeed. You kidding me? This is gonna be a long stream. Not gonna lie. It's 116,601 words, Asriel. This is gonna be massive. Massive to get through, depending on how much I skip. I'm telling you, this game's gonna hit the world. It's gonna hit it hard, and it's gonna be awesome. Got a lot of work I gotta put into this. Just because I wrote everything on paper doesn't make it Doesn't make it a thing. I got to go through a lot. Got to go through artwork and formatting and marketing and the right size of the book, you know, and make everything look nice. And also the beta test is the big thing. I got to test this bad boy out several times and work out all the kinks. You'll tire eventually. And dude, probably after I drink this entire bottle of wine. And that's just a maybe. I got a pretty high tolerance. But you got the distinction roll. And then obviously it kind of goes through like a basis of like the 1d20. This is for like really fresh people. I think you always want to do this. Because I mean, obviously a lot of people that play D&D are just going to know what this stuff is. But the two factors is new players, also clarification, so no one gets confused on what dice to use or not to use, and also with the personal touch of what Raintress will actually use the dice for. I just say mostly because it can actually be used for other stuff, but 1d6 is going to be like basically your normal attacks. So every normal attack is going to be 1d6. It never changes, even for some creatures. And then you got the 1d8, which is mostly special abilities, so it's going to be integrated in that, and maybe some spells. And then 1d12s are mostly special abilities and some magic. And then 1d100s are like big decisions, curse rolls, and some crazy strong attacks. And there are ones in here that do 100 damage. But, you know, they're hard to get. And then 1d4 is mostly like poisons and toxins and extensions, counters, status attacks, effects and stuff. Melee attacks like fist and kicks, things of that nature. And 1d20 obviously is the decider. And some attacks. There are some attacks that do that. Playstyle and talking and combat, we can skim all this, but like talking and combat, I don't think it's a big deal. I'd say let people talk and don't worry about wasting their turn, sort of thing. Just fix the narratives to where it's acceptable, you know? There is no friendly fire. That is a big thing. Do not worry about explosions or big fire attacks or crazy things going on or a mine that's sitting on the ground or anything. AoEs do not hurt your allies. The narrative is just, I pretty much go through this where I didn't want to make a game where all that was just like, because there's two different things here, and both are not wrong, and neither one is, and both are right, but both are not wrong. Because sometimes it ruins immersion, and it kind of ruins like that thing of like, well, it don't feel real because, you know, if there's a giant explosion and all your allies are really close to it, and there's fire raining everywhere, you know, why wouldn't they not get hurt? You know, and some people like that realism. But basically how I'm putting this is that also sometimes it could bring like more often than not, you get a negative effect when other allies get hit or hurt out of some sort of a situation or attack other than them not getting hurt. You know, and then it can actually bring like a negative vibe possibly with the team and the players and stuff like that. So I'd rather ignore that. Of course, you can play the game whatever you want. You know, go ahead and choose to do that. You know, add in friendly fire if you wish. You know, you just pretty much turn on the AoE. But I'll be strongly encouraging no friendly fire. Just attack freely without worrying about that stuff. And then good faith and favorable bad rolls. I'm hoping a lot of people can adopt this. That I kind of want to be a voice for. You know, when people get a caliber 1, which, you know, effectively it's a nat 1, like a really bad roll. You know, it don't always have to be embarrassing. It don't always have to be a big clumsy thing, or you dropped your legendary weapon, or it's just the thing missed and it missed poorly. And it don't have to be like anything embarrassing or crazy or stupid. You know, a lot of times I just want to create a narrative sort of thing to where why you missed or why you weren't able to do it. You know, the ground underneath you was so soft that when you make the leap, you know, it was actually wet from like someone spilling their their big canteen full of water, you know, and as you leapt, literally you got no distance because your foot sunk into the mud and slid across it as if it was like oil, you know, on a marble ground. And you fell down and landed on your knee and your hand, sort of thing, you know. Or as you try to execute your really cool aerial attack, in the middle of it, you seen some sort of color on the monster's clothes that reminded you of home, and it distracted you, but for a second, and you missed your shot, and you struck nothing but like a little cloth piece. You know, that could be a nat 1. You know, I really want to urge a little bit more of like a culture with that. And then you can like every now and then, like we're talking like every 8th or 10th one, that could be pretty bad. But also you can use it as a narrative. You know, it could be really bad as long as it kind of like serves the narrative in a great way, but not like embarrassing the character. Stay here and be a good clink for yapping. Indeed. I'm not going anywhere. Man, this is a lot to get through. We're on page 14 on 365, so strap in, boys. We're going hard tonight. Okay. But yeah, that's the culture for that one. And I think I go pretty into it. Talk about there's certain stuff, recovery rolls, just things like that are fundamental and mostly in like a D&D game, but I add my own little twists and certain other things to it. And also there's going to be consensus on holding and escaping and stuff like that. So when you hold someone, or a creature holds you, or they wrap you up in their tail, or a tentacle grabs you, you know, things of that nature, like a physical touch will always be like a 10 unless it says otherwise. So you have to roll a 10 to escape, and if you don't, it pretty much skips your turn. And with a 12, it's like some sort of like device that's holding you. You know, so these are like handcuffs, these are like rope, this is chains, this is like magical chains, this is you know, things of that nature. You know, just like some sort of mechanical device that holds you. And so that'd be a 12. A little bit tougher to get out, unless it says otherwise. Because some things got like perks or pluses on them. But that's the general consensus of what you have to beat. And then once you beat it, then boom, you're free to do whatever you want. But I didn't want. The thing is, I didn't want people to be like, oh man, I pretty much can't do nothing. I hate this. And I get bad rolls. Well, so I made a skill called Breakout. So if this is something that you really don't want to contend with, Breakout, after you fought really hard and you got the experience for it, and you bought Breakout as a skill, so it's passive, it's always with you. You can spend, once you get captured or held, you can spend 1 stamina point and break out of it. But you know, you waste a stamina point just to break out of it and stuff. And you lose your attack action, I believe. I still haven't fully figured that out. I don't know if I want to yield on that a little bit or not, but we'll see. Maybe just like 1 action you could use, you know, because I don't want to completely break it or make it pointless to hold or capture somebody, right? There's always got to be like some sort of give and take. Forbidden knowledge, this is all forbidden. For a game that's not yet out there. Because just imagine, this is forbidden knowledge, because if this actually hits the markets and it becomes world renowned and it's super famous and everyone loves the game and it's just doing crazy well, you know, you're knowing things before it ever became a book. You know, it became like a physical manifestation in the world. You're sharing this information with me. I trust you, Azrael. Yes, you shall be a witness to greatness. Yeah. Well. That's right. Be honored, my friend, because I am honored that you are here. I appreciate it. But yeah, the starting characters and perks. This is the cool part because I want this to be so simple. I want creating a character because when I start D&D, that's always been a thing that I think would deter you. Is all the things you got to figure out, all the stuff you got to do, all the rules you got to make with the dice to figure things out, rerolls. Like, I am not going to have any of that at all. It's just a simple choice and then a decision and then writing down your special abilities. And there's literally only 3 things you got to figure out. And it's not crunching numbers or anything. And I'll get into that. But you just have to write down basic information, just things that you'd ever want to write, age, weight, name, backstory, obvious. And then this one is one of the 3, where you'll start off by choosing what number will go into agility, power, conditioning, and intellect. Feel free to place any of these numbers in the categories. So you got 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so you literally just put one of these numbers in any of these categories, and then later on it'll tell you exactly what they do, what type of player you want to be. More agility, more power, power attacks and stuff. Conditioning for like more SP and more HP, and intellect for like obviously wizards and having more mana. It's just simple. Just 4 things you gotta put numbers into, and that just kind of goes a little bit more into why you're choosing it. And then 3. You just pretty much get like a starting thing, to kind of help you get started. So you start with 2 healing leaves that heal you, 2 mana extract that heals your mana. You get 200 coin to start off. And basic items like a sleeping bag, lantern, or flashlight, rations, all that stuff you don't have to worry about getting per se, or having it take up inventory space or weight. You never have to worry about that. That's just given. I don't want to worry about stuff like that. Yeah. And then choose your class. You pretty much choose your class, and once you choose your class, you just write down all the special abilities that go with it. There's nothing complex at all. It's like if you like kind of what they're about and what they can do and their perks, then just write down the class name and write down all their special abilities that you start off with. Yeah. And this one I'm going to have to work on a little bit, but if you want to, this is actually by choice, you don't have to, but feel free to purchase any armor, shield, weapon, or item you wish to get. And you can talk to the RM if you're creating it, or if you have the book and whatever, and this really ain't that complex. I'm not making armor or shields or weapons that prominent in this game. A weapon is going to be of 3 different types: long sword, broadsword, or short sword. And it's the same thing with axes, spears, lances, halberds, maces, morning stars, bows. All this stuff is the same, but the 3 different kinds have their own slight advantages. So long sword will have 10 plus reach. So if you're stopped just a square short of reaching the enemy, you can hit them with it. That's all that does for you. And broadsword gives you +1 damage. And then short sword makes you quicker, so it gives you a +1 attack roll. Or a +1 evade roll. I forgot. We'll have to look into it a little bit later. Get a haircut, Clinkford. Never! This hair is spot on, man. Looking pretty snazzy. Yeah. And then if you're actually, I kind of like my hair too. You know how like the right side spikes up a little bit and the left side kind of goes down? I kind of like that. It's like a yin yang thing. I would not want to ruin such a perfected hair. The barbers are my enemy. And if you're a magic user, feel free to pick spells based on the class you chose and how many of the starter spell list. So I'll be able to make a starter spell list, and you'll be able to pick 3 spells from the second level caliber spell list and a few from the first caliber. Yeah, and I still gotta organize this, actually. That's gonna be a headache, but because my spells are kind of random, they're just all written on the same page. But, you know, I'll work on that a little bit later. Anybody much? Actually, no, this is wrong. Wait, no. Just a class. There's a perk thing. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, you find the perk page and you select 5. It does mention it. Actually, that needs to be separate though. Well, whatever. And items, the general amounts of stuff that you can carry. It just kind of lets you know. Get a haircut, clank fur, abracadabra, I cast mental necrosis. I will never get my mind melted by some spell. I cast negate. If you didn't know what negate was in Magic the Gathering card game, it negates that spell. And I got over 100 of them. Good luck. And that's a Pokemon, by the way. Abracadabra. But yeah, you can only carry 10 items at a time, but it also lets you know that a Venator can carry 20. So if you like that class, you want to carry 20, that's pretty good. Weapons, you can have 1 main and 1 secondary. And if you switch to your combat, you'll have to waste a turn to switch it. But that's all you ever need. And then legendary relics. So you're able to get 3 relics. So they're not going to be crazy strong, but they're definitely pretty good buffs. And then if you can somehow get your hands on relics, you can carry 3 of them. And artifacts, you can only carry 1. They're normally pretty powerful. So you can only have 1 on you. You can own more, but you can only have 1 equipped on you and using it. And the holder, you can buy 1 holder, and that gives you, and later on it'll tell you what each holder does. But it pretty much gives you 2 extra item slots or 4. It just depends on what the item you're going for. But a Vagabond Warrior, if you chose that class, which is a class, Vagabond Warrior, you can actually carry 2. That's one of his perks. And then you can only have 1 shield or 1 legendary shield. So you can only have 1 shield, which just gives you a +1 to defense, and you can use shield special abilities. I didn't want to go too crazy with it, but I also wanted that possibility to be there. And it just kind of goes into like the mana, stamina, condition, and other things to kind of get you introduced into it. But this goes into the ability, power, condition, and intellect. And I call them scopes. This is the scope of what you're choosing. So the 16, 15, 14, and 13 that you chose, so you'll know exactly what you're getting when you're putting it into your stat. So say if you put 16 into your agility scope, then you'd get wait, hold on. I don't think I put the ER in that one. Oh no, never mind. It's right in the front. I feel dumb. Okay, so your the ER is your evade roll. So it's pretty much like the AC in D&D, right? So it's what the enemy needs to make in order to hit you. So if you put 13 as your ER or as your agility scope, because you want to put more into some of these other ones based on how you want to play, then the enemy would have to make a 13 to hit you. And you don't have any extra, actually I need to change this. A lot of things are going to change as I play this game. I think the basis needs to be 40. This one needs to be 45. This one needs to be 50. And then max should be 55 feet. You could really travel. Okay. So you pretty much have a 13 hit dice, so that they hurt 13 to hit you, and you can only run 40 feet on the field. But the thing is, with this game, don't necessarily worry about this. Depending on how you build your character, because there's special abilities and skills that you can get, that's kind of like the multi-class system I built into this game. So if you're really lacking in something, you can make up for that in special abilities or skills. Or the number one thing that I'm most excited about this game, guys, chat, it is teamwork. So if another class or magic user or whatever sees that you're weak in some sort of aspect, they can have abilities and spells and other things that will help you out. They'll balance it. You know, so like the artificer. If they chose like an artificer, like if you're a squishy wizard and stuff like that, and you only have 13 ER, which is like the average, artificer has the sanctuary pillars. So they stick those into the ground, and there's like a good wide range. And if they activate an ability within it, you actually gain ER, because like it protects you while you're inside. So you get like a +2 or something. So technically, you'd be at a 15 ER while you're casting your spells. You know, so it's really cool in that way that you can really work with each other. And there's all kinds of different combinations and stuff you can do, either for yourself or as you improve with your skills. So the more you fight, the more you gain abilities, you can improve that. But also the teamwork. But if you put 16, you know, in ER, then you have 16 that the enemy has to hit you. Which I still might change these. I don't know. I'm gonna have to test a lot of stuff. Because I also put, you don't stack spells and stuff like that. So I have to be super careful about the spells and the upgrades and the buffs that I give, so don't make it like too crazy. But we'll see. I think it's fairly balanced to start with, but we'll see. And you get extra 20 feet. So this just focuses on your defense and movement. And then obviously you'd have to put one of the other ones, the 15, 14, 13, and the other scopes. And then you just look at your power scope. Okay, say I got 16 in that one. I really want to be hard to hit. So I can't put 16. This one's pretty much out. So I either have to choose one of these three. Do I want to put a 13, 14, or 15 in power? And say I want some damage, right? I definitely want to do some damage and whatever. And I don't have to worry about power because I didn't pick a class that gave me power. So let's do that one, where I have a high hit box and I have good damage. Well, then if I take the 15 and the 16, that means the condition and the intellect are down to just 2. You know, which ones will be 14 and which ones will be 13. And you might want to change your mind. You never know. Because, boom, when you're looking at condition, you're like, oh man, this raises my stamina points so I can use it for counters and special abilities and stuff like that. And I gain 20 HP. So everyone's stamina bar starts off at 6. So 6, 7, 8, 9. So you'd have 9 stamina points right off the bat. And that doesn't include training and other upgrades from later level ups. You know, and then 75 HP, I mean, that's pretty good. That's really nice. And it's always going to stay that way. You know, you got certain classes that can raise that for temporary, you know, and training that you can do, but that's about it. Through the entire game, because I wanted to keep this simple, you know, that most of the people's HP is always going to stay the same. Always. It's always going to be 75, but things that you can do within the game, bonuses, perks, strategy, training, you could raise that a little bit. Yeah. And level ups and stuff like that. There's also another way you can do it if you want to put the points in that. Yeah, and then just lower grades of it. Yeah, let's keep that. And then same thing with the intellect scope. You know, if you want to be a wizard or something like that, or something of a decent wizard, you get that much extra mana. And then negative 15 EXP for all spells. That's pretty good. And really the only two right here that work with that when you're really into it. Yeah. And it just kind of goes into more detail if you want to read into it and get more specifics and understand it more. And I kind of go into like the basics here. You know, like I don't have individual stats. Like leaping's not going to be like 10 and rolling's not going to be like 5 and you're not going to be like really bad at jumping. This is just basic rolls. You know, it's up to the RM. I'm not going to go too crazy with that because that's going to make character building super hard, complicated. You know, say your conditioning's like really, really good. It's 16. And then maybe the RM's like, go ahead and roll me a 17 for climbing that cliff. Like, my conditioning is at 16. And then maybe they can reevaluate it, right? They can be like, oh man, okay, that makes sense. Then go ahead and roll me a 14 since you're pretty much really good with conditioning. But that wouldn't work if your conditioning was 13. They'd be like, well, it's definitely a 17 you gotta beat, you know? Yeah, you can just play it by ear with that. So it's not gonna be very complicated. And a lot of these are just kind of guidelines, you know, kind of what to think about when it comes to that. And then I'm still working on races and other things like that. I just kind of put a couple of ones down. Human fairy, fairy and human hybrid, elf, dark elf, dwarf, Sakura, which is the one I made up. It's like an energy alien race. It's actually in a book I'm writing, by the way. And they use Intercarn energy, and they can actually survive in Intercarn realm, which normal mortals struggle to live there. If not, they eventually die. So it's just an extra perk that you can have as a Sakura. Humanized Cyclops, if you want to go that route. Orc, Intelligent Orc, which would be a Cillian Orc, basically. I made that up not too long ago. It's the only like intellectual and common tongue orc. Every other orc is like wild and crazy and stuff in this game, like what you would think an orc would be. Lord of the Rings stuff. Lizard Man if you want, Lion Man, and you can actually be whatever hybrid you want, you know, as long as it's like humanoid, you know. I don't want to diverge too far away from, you know, mechanics and certain other things, but feel free to do whatever you want. You can be a turtle, half pana, falcon, snake, a beetle, even, whatever. But as long as it's like humanoid looking, I'm fine with. Kind of like this, you know, he's a lizard man. Obviously, he's not human, but he definitely looks mortal. Got tail and everything. And you can also be a mermaid, but if you want to be a mermaid, you have to sacrifice 2 perks because you can swim faster in water, get treasure in water clearer, you can transform your legs into fins, and you're resistant to water damage by -4, which is really good. You know, so you can only pick 3 perks, but you got these other perks if you want to go that route. And then you got other races and stuff I put in my books. Animal hybrid, which I'm actually not sure I put that because I got this one, but whatever, same thing. Nazara, 4-eyed, oh, just some other one I kind of just made up. Green scaled alien. And now we're gonna get into perks. You can actually do companions, but you have to sacrifice a perk to do that. You know, so if you want like a fairy to be like following you and stuff like that, and then just for like narrative purposes, or you want to have a fun little fairy that's next to you, that's energy based and stuff, and it can actually light the way for you, so you don't need a torch or a lantern. Hold on. Oh, had a cough. And it'll let you know kind of all the stuff that you want to do. And there's like red, there's green, all kinds of different stuff based on how you want to do it. So red, this in case you know aura that protects you against elements, damage resistance. That's what red does. So it protects you against elemental stuff. And you get to choose how intense it is, And green, you just pretty much read everything they could do. All the perks and stuff like that and the intensity of it. Yeah, you got orange, Ember Fairies, all the perks with it. Even like a special ability, which is pretty cool. But you have to eventually get the EXP to buy it and other stuff. Small Dragon, which this one's a little bit more. It's -2 perks. So just because you have like a small animal that's with you, and it'll never die. You don't have to worry about that. The entire team dies, then you die. But it can get fallen, so it's only ever going to have 5 HP, so it can take a hit for you or be a target. So technically that's a free round for you. It'll be fine after the fight. It's got 2 stamina. So you just have a cool narrative small dragon with you, a little pet. And it could do small damage. 6 damage with the fire. It's 1 SP, so it's gonna shoot 2 fire breaths. And you do little bites and stuff like that, latch on to an enemy, and it lowers their movement by 5. Just a little extra that helps you out. Pretty fun stuff, and you use it for RP. That's kind of the main thing I invented it for. You have like a little dragon that's with you, and then it has some use, but it also has like a story narrative function to it. And it only has like a 8 evade roll, so it can get hit pretty easily. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, if you get the armor, it can increase up to 12. Yeah, so you want to buy your little dragon some awesome armor or some cute armor, however you want to do it. It's there. Trained and Disciplined perk. Oh, just an extra perk that you can do that gives you this perk. Extra 3 first and 5th level abilities at the start. And cost 10 less to learn. Oh, special abilities cost 10 less to learn. Oh, that's a big one right here. A lot of people could appreciate that. So every special ability, because you get experience by fighting monsters and stuff in battles. Well, that experience is pretty much like revenue. It's pretty much what you use to get special abilities. So you pay the EXP to buy special abilities. Well, all of them will be 10 less. That's pretty solid. So to give up a perk, which I'll get into that here real soon. There'll be like a list soon. None of them, certain other perks don't cost your or fancy you. You might want to go this route, especially if you're more of like a fighter. Like I'm not going to be looking at spells too much. I'm not even going to be looking at skills too much. Just the basics, the ones I want. I just go strictly special abilities. Might be the one for you. And Spirit Wielder, so a -2 on that, which pretty much is like the small dragon, but you got like a giant sort of spirit that follows you, and then you can create whatever narrative you want, and it lets you know all the stuff that it can do and stuff, which is pretty cool. I'll just keep that 2. I was gonna do 3, but whatever. And the spirit could be whatever form you want. It could be a golem, a monster, animal, insect, arachnid, even a mortal, whatever. It's up to you. And I'll tell you right now, the thing that I'm lacking right now in this game, out of everything else, is the gods and the celestials. I got just a little bit on them, but there's a lot more I need to do with that. And there is statuses. Excuse me. So there's gonna be basic status effects that you can do. It could be a knockdown. So it's when you get knocked down and stuff like that, you have to use an action to get up. So when you get up, boom, you use an action. So you can use it to attack where you're at, or you can move, or you use a support action. But you just can't do 2 in that round. And then fallen is when you pretty much reached 0, life. So you'd be fallen, and then you have to go through the stuff with that. And it kind of goes through that. So you actually have, which I think this is really cool, because when you faint, basically, when you fallen, you're not exactly out of the fight, okay? There's still a way for you to get in. The first one is, where is it? Let me read this real quick. I see. I might have overcomplicated this. But you faint, you no longer can take actions for the entire battle. Everyone will die if everyone faints. But not fallen. The only way a single person can be killed is by death dealing special ability or venom or magic, and the damage is far past their fallen HP. And they have to be by themselves, basically. Yeah. And you aren't necessarily out of the fight just yet. You can still make a support roll, but you have to roll against your own evade roll. So say if you have an evade roll of 14, you have to roll and try to beat that, okay? And if you beat that, you're able to gather the strength to use an item to heal yourself. You can actually own, I need to put that in my item list, but you can actually own an item that's a bandage. And it'll take 2 turns, but if you have an ejection heal or magical leaf, they are all instantaneous. So bandage would be like you're slowly kind of wrapping up your wounds to get back into the fight, sort of thing. And then you got like the better versions of that, of these leaves or an ejection heal. But if you fail that, that's what it goes into this. And if you're not healed within 3 rounds, you roll to recover or to remain fallen. So you just wait 3 rounds and whatever. So if you fail this first one, there's nothing you can do. And then 3 rounds later, as your allies are fighting, then you roll to recover or remain fallen. So this is like your last ditch effort. If you're attacked again and past your fallen HP, then you faint. So you don't really get a second chance after that as well. Just so it's not like, too rigged. You are KO'd until someone uses a revive potion or spell of mana salts, or a cookmaster has this ability. So there is other things you can eventually do to revive them as well, but they're hard to get and they're really expensive. And then you got faint. This is the state you are after you fail to recover from the fallen status. Once you faint, you're unconscious and no longer healing, or magic can bring you back. Once the battle is won, you awaken with 10 HP. Yes. But there are 2 things that can bring you back from a faint: a revive potion or mana salts, ability from a cookmaster. They are so strong they can awaken a battered and broken body, either with a powerful magic that mends the body or a strong body awakener like the mana salts. And then you got stunned. And I made a lot of the statuses in a way that's not like completely restrictive, right? They're just annoyances, nuisances, basically. I didn't want to disable people from the fight. I tried my best to kind of design it as that. But stunned, this is from an affected stamina or body, from a venom or a strong attack that numb the body. Your movement is halved, and all special attacks cost double to perform. You can only attack normally, and bonus plus damage is negated. So you can still do special attacks, it just costs double. It costs a lot more to do, And then you can still do normal attacks. Even though you're stunned, you can still swing your sword, or your fist, or your axe, or whatever. but it doesn't have like that impact behind them. So any plus damage you have will be negated until you recover. But it doesn't put you out of the fight. I like that. And then you could also stun enemies as well. So always consider that as well. And you got dazed, and this is more for like magic users and stuff. You're either shaken from an attack and can't focus well or see straight, or a magic is charmed and created an illusion on you. You struggle to cast magic, making your spells have a -6 attack roll while in this state, and you can't use your support action. So you're too clumsy, you really can't like restore yourself or use a healing item because you'll probably drop it, right? That's kind of what that's saying. And you can't really cast a spell because you can't really see straight. So you can still cast a spell. I mean, go for it. And you might actually have perks that give you higher attack roll. So maybe technically, like I said earlier, like if you're standing in that, excuse me, Artificer's Sanctuary Pillars that give you more higher AR or ER. It had to be AR, but there is some things that increase that. Then maybe it gives you like +2 for that. So it'd be only -4, you know? And you got capture and hold. I kind of go a little bit more into that again, but we already talked about that. And we got mana sealed, which is a advanced form. I always got like stunned, and I got like a higher version of that, but super rare to see. And monsters barely ever have it or even use it. It's more like bosses and stuff, you know? But Mana Seal, it's an advanced form of Daze, a spell that seals your magic until it runs out of energy to hold you. You cannot cast magic or access your mana in this state. And obviously it's not going to be too crazy, but that's a big one. But it's rare. And we got Guard. We already went into that one. And we got Disrupt. So this is listed in an attack or ability, or special ability basically. So this will stop a charging attack if you're successful, preventing them from executing it the next round. So the thing is with Disrupt, there's charge attacks. There's special abilities that do a lot of damage. We're talking like 20 damage, we're talking like 18, we're talking big damage. But it's you have to charge it. So if it's like a big beam or a big slash, you literally have to take a full turn, and you can't do anything else until that next turn, and then you unleash it. You know, so you got to use that sparingly. But if someone has Disrupt, whether with a spell or with a special attack that disrupts you, they can actually use that. But you know, you may not have this in your arsenal. You know. And if they're doing a charge attack, you may just have to eat it or prepare for it, right? Especially if it's a wide-ranged charged attack. So you can either try to hurry up and disrupt it if you have the possibility and the SP points to spend to use it, or if you're all out of options, maybe you just guard, you know? Like that boss I had talked about earlier, sending a giant wave to hit everyone, you know? But that's what I like about this game is that you got possibilities. And then Interrupt, this is like in midway and before Disrupt happens. It's like a preemptive, a quid pro quo, so to speak, for attacks. So say a lot of times Interrupt, this can be intermediate. So you can pull it off anytime you want, as long as you have the points to spend to do it. So say someone's attacking you, right? Bop, 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 bop. But you have an ability that creates like ice spikes around your body. That'll interrupt their attack from happening anymore during like a counter. So say you have an attack that did 1d6 damage, and then another 1d6 damage, and the next one's 2d8, like a strong finisher, right? Well, say you only want to interrupt one of those, or you feel like you can interrupt one of those. I still have to kind of figure that out a little bit, but after that first attack, or the second, or even before he attacks, you can grow those spikes, because it's immediate, not intermediate, immediate. Spell the Reaver. And then he either can continue the attacks, or he will continue the attacks, and he can take damage from the spikes, or if it has the interrupt, it'll stop the attack entirely. So that's what that is. You know, it's not rare. I mean, it's rare. Sorry. It's rare, and it don't happen often. There's not a lot of abilities or moments you use it, but it is there. And you got Delirium. It's a hypnotic attack, and there's stamina still could be used. You won't be able to do any magic or special attacks for the duration stated. I think that's a stronger version of Daze, so that's not going to be common. Mostly bosses in certain instances will have that. Some of these statuses you'll barely ever see. You know, they're just there to add some sort of a special difficulty or a narrative function. But, you know, it depends on the players and DM or RM how they want to play. You got Paralyzed, which is an advanced version of Stunned. And you got Sleep. You fall asleep, that's pretty basic. You got Poison, which there are 3 different types of poison. You know, it's always a 1d4 rounds and 1d4 damage, but some are just solid damage or some are just solid rounds, basically. Yeah. You got Brain Fog, -2 to -5 on magic spell rolls. You know, similar to Daze. Magical Force. This is where you damage ghosts, curses, temporal beings, spectrals. So if it has if you have some sort of special ability that's magical force, that could do a lot of damage to those things. Because normally, ghosts, curses, and spectrals and all these guys take half damage with normal attacks because of what they are. There you go. Push. This one's actually going to be used a lot. This is a big time strategy one. So if your ability says push, like 10 feet, 20 feet, 5 feet, while you're after the attack, you actually push them that far in a direction that you want. Or say like a giant explosion on the ground and you have like a radius of 30 feet, everyone gets pushed that amount that it says. 30 feet, whatever. And you can use that as a strategy because they'll have to use a movement to get to you. And that wastes 1 action for them. And also you could push them over ledges. You could push them into traps. You could push them closer to an ally, you know, things of that nature. So that's pretty cool. Or you could push them into walls. That's another one. You got later on, you got crash. So say there's a wall behind you that's 20 feet and you're able to push the enemy 30 feet. Well, it'll crash into that wall, breaking through it or just slamming. And then you get a +5, +10 damage to that push. So there's a strategy of your environment as well. You got blind, you know, that speaks for itself. -2, -4 to AR and ER. Pull, you can pull someone to you, or you can pull them upwards in the air. That's with some special abilities description. And fear, you got some stuff there. A lot of this stuff will be self-explanatory, and you can read through it. We got freeze, we got burned, illusion, charmed, charge. You know, you have to charge the duration to unleash the attack. And defense. So whatever defense you have when you're guarding, you subtract that. So if you have 4 defense and you guard, then if someone hits you for like a 1d6 and they get 6 damage, well, you're only taking 2 damage from that. But you can't block magic spells. So you'll be taking the full blunt of that. So just be careful with it. And you got wound, which is pretty much bleed, you know, in some other aspects is, you know. But the thing is, it's not just HP you're losing every round. It's also stamina because you're bleeding out and you're losing strength. So I definitely changed that up quite a bit. and it can really range. You can lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 HP over the duration of 1d6 rounds. So it could be all 6 rounds, it could just be 1 round, you know, or it could be smaller rounds. It just depends on the attack or the magic spell. And you got attributes, which is going to be the crash thing and things of that nature. Soaring, so when you're going at a certain speed, you know, 30 miles per hour or whatever, and hold on. Your attacks will say that you got soar. So basically it's saying you're dashing forward or flying at a really fast speed. That gives you extra damage, extra power. So that'd be a +5 damage because of that. And speedfall, if you're anything from 15 to 50 feet up, you get an extra 5 damage. Some special abilities have that. Or say if you're standing up on a cliff and you ask, hey, RM, how high are we up? Well, they're 20 feet up. Okay, well, I'm going to jump down and slash it with my normal attack. Well, it'd be the 1d6 plus 5 damage because you're at 15 feet or more up. And you got Titanfall. This could be with normal people too, classes and stuff, but this mostly applies to gods. So if you're anything from 60 feet to 1,000 feet up, because falls don't really damage you too much as a god, then you get +10 damage. And crash, we explained that earlier, slamming into things or objects. And we got the elemental damage, and I kept it fairly simple. I want this to be simple. So by each attack, it'll have what it has in it, what type of element it is, and then each monster will have what type it is. So if it matches it, you know, if it's like an ice monster, it'll do 5 damage to it. And if it's a wood monster, wood creature, or monsters in general, or structures, it'll do +10 against it. And then vice versa, all through this. So you can just study that a little bit. And then sound is rare. There's a lot of magic, a lot of special abilities, but it's mostly rare because it does +5 to mortals. So that could damage you guys as players a lot, or it could damage a lot of non-PCs or other normal enemies. Then you got monster and creature types, which will go into weaknesses and stuff. So you got ghosts, they're weak to magical force, like we explained earlier. And then we got ghost, and we got spectral, and it just goes into kind of how they're made and what they are and things of that nature, what to expect. You got beast, beast is my #1 of like primary. So this is like the most of the things that you'll run into, like giants, spiders, mortals, beasts, you know, claws. Even if they're oversized, they'll be beasts. That's that class. And monsters are more like, these beings are not normal anatomy, you know, sort of thing. Created or from different realms, things of that nature. But yeah, and their weaknesses. And you got lava-based creatures or monsters or whatever. And you got frost, wood. Some of these are sub ones too. So you can have like a monster, but it's wood too. But it'll also have both weaknesses. You got structures. So if you want to attack a wall, building, tower, siege weapon, you'll kind of know that it's a structure you can attack. And explosions do a lot of extra damage. You got elementals, mortals, machine, lighting, obviously, and spirit. You got God, celestial, alien, dark tide, angel, demon, Nephilim, undead, and plant. And I can't go too crazy because I can sit here and write stuff forever. I have to stop at some point. But in later editions, for sure, and I'm going to show that at the very end of stream, by the way, kind of what I'm doing for later updates and additions. But I have to stop at some point with classes and special abilities and all kinds of other different things. But I do have a lot planned for later. I just want to create a good game with enough stuff to play around with and get it up and off the ground, and then start working on that stuff. And I kind of go with experience points. Just like the premise of like everything you'd never need to reach level 20, because you only go up to level 20. So you need like a total of 1,214 experience to finally get there. Another 400 more experience to reach level 20. Schematics, of getting there. So from level 1 to 5, you need 44 EXP to level up each time. So say you get 44 EXP, boom, you go to level 2. You get 44 XP again, you go up to level 3. And then when you finally reach level 6, you'll have to start getting 50 XP to get levels up. But you also open the next special abilities and skills tier. So there's a whole bunch more stuff opened up to you. Yeah. Levels of enemies, that's something that RMs can really play with. Level 1 enemies can give you 5 EXP. Level 2 can give you 6 to 10, 3, 11 to 15. Level 4, 16 to 20. Level 5, 21 to 60. And it don't have to be this. This is just like a basic premise to kind of balance it. And I still have to beta test this, by the way. So I don't know if this is too much or too little, or if I need to change different ranges or big gaps. I don't know. But pretty much it's just, it don't have to be a strong enemy either. A level 5 enemy don't have to be like a crazy strong enemy. It's just something that challenged you, or maybe as like a whole bunch of enemies or something like that. So if you just claim it's a level 5 and the players beat it really easily, hey, that's okay. They'll get the 21 or 60, whatever you agree on. Or it could be more, I don't know. And also if you choose quests, by the way, after you complete the quest, you get the EXP that it grants as well. And then boss is gonna be 100 to 200 EXP. It can be more than that, whatever the RM decides, Maybe everyone's struggling a little bit. Maybe they can't get together to play sessions too much and whatever. Maybe once a month. Then you could up that up, so that people can get leveling up faster. Up to you. And I went over the rap thing. Just like a real world thing to kind of make the game feel more alive, the world breathe a little bit more. You get discounts if you get a certain rep in the world. If you get around 15 rep, so you get rep by completing quests or doing something really great for like a queen and queen, things of that nature. And it just kind of helps you with like a perk stuff throughout the game. Enemy sizes and sizes in general, just to kind of give a size thing. Small, medium, large, and some special abilities and spells and stuff only knock down a certain size. Obviously you're not going to judo throw a giant. It's just not going to happen. So when you have like some sort of like judo throw or toss or something, it's only going to go to a certain amount of small, medium, or large. But then again, there's some things that will let you know they can knock down these. A giant, something massive, or gargantuan. And style of games, kind of more of like letting people know how they could play. Got grinding, where say they don't want to focus necessarily all on story. It's like, hey, this session we really just want to focus on leveling up, looking for items, preparing, getting coin, getting as much EXP as possible to buy the special abilities and skills that we've been wanting. And things of that nature. So you can do like a grinding game, pretty much just grind. And I got other different ones too. Law and order, how the law works. If you were to steal or do certain things, it's not too crazy. Just a basic thing. then other tips that I can give. Oh man, now we're getting to classes. Okay. Now, classes. These are classes that have abilities that interest you or complement your style of play. Yeah, chat, really pay attention to that, because how each class is developed and made may be the way that you want to play the game. Any one of these can be whatever you want to be in the game, and feel free to diverge from it. These classes only have bonuses and benefits to certain abilities or tech. For example, just because you want to be an artificer doesn't mean that you have to stick with your ancient artifact weapon or tool, or even make artifacts. You may just be an artifact collector or wish to be able to use them more in battle, along with normal weapons, or be able to help others in your party restore theirs. Keeping a stock of mana, restore items, or mana potions to better fulfill this role. Feel free to use these advantages and play how you want. Yeah, because if you want to just swing a sword and stuff like that, you don't have to use the artificer thing. It could just be some sort of like extra bonus for certain times, right? Artificers can actually use their mana to restore artifacts and magical stuff like that. Well, you have to go to somewhere specific and pay money to get that done. And if you're focusing so much on your own mana and condition and stuff like that, condition gauge, which I'll get into that later, that you can't really focus on some of that other stuff. So you can be really big support in that regard. So you can always diverge from the class expectations and use their perks and go a different path. That's kind of how I made it, you know? Yeah. Classes mixed with other classes. So obviously, this one's kind of like more of a, if you want to work together with other players, like, hey man, I really want to be a certain type of fighter or agility fighter, you know, be moving and fighting and be hard to hit, but I don't have a lot of damage output. Well, maybe you can be a class that can assist that, you know, or design it to assist each other, you know. And it's got species. You know, it's gonna be gods, celestials, you know, human mortals. I'll go a little bit to that, so to bring the world a little bit more to life. Have RMs and players have a direction, you know. You got superhumans, which includes vampire, which I still got to work on these. That's why these are so small right now. But we'll get there. And we talked about a little bit about the weapons. You know, guns, multiple ranged attacks, but you do have to reload. So that does take, once you run out of bullets, you do have to reload them and take a turn, or not a turn, an action to do that. Yeah. And there's special abilities you can do with guns, you know. And swords and melee. We talk about powers, cheese, tools, magic, weapons you can use or claim to use. You know, so it don't have to be a sword. You can pick whatever you want. You know, it don't really matter. Got all kinds of different stuff here. Claw blades are going to be expanded on, but we'll get into that later. And same thing with boomerang. But some of the weapons that you do choose will have a slight benefit to certain things, because there's a special ability attack called the Hornet's Nest and the Wasp Nest. You do a whole bunch of stabs. Within the ability itself, it says if you have anything that thrusts, or you have like a rapier, or specifically a rapier, some are weapon specific, that's within the game, or it has the description of thrusting, stabbing, or things of that nature, that it deals extra damage. So definitely be paying attention to that too. There's a certain play style that you want to play. Well, I mean, you can pick the weapon that complements that as well. Long range weapon, blow, throwing knife, javelin, you know, nets, chains, small boomerang guns. All weapons are basically the same with only a few specifics. Some weapons have more swiftness, which could aid in your ER. Yeah, all that different stuff. And it gives you a list of all the long-range stuff that uses ammunition: handgun, revolver, sniper, crossbow, bow and arrow, explosive arrows, shock arrows, what damage they do, what type of element they do, or whatever, a status, and then their range. Eventually, I'll be able to put the cost down on there too. I normally do that, but I haven't done it that time. Iron spike, javelin, throwing knife, shuriken, spike, all kinds of different stuff. Then you can modify them, so you pretty much upgrade them, make them longer ranged. You got a quiver, we carry up to 12 arrows, a magazine with 8 bullets, extended mag, 12 bullets, things of that nature. And armor, kind of talked about that a little bit. You can you naturally come with your own armor when you pick your class, and it pretty much stays like that unless you pay money to get a shield. It gives you +1. So a Venator actually can't purchase any other extra armor, and neither can a Kinetican. So some classes actually have, every class has its pros and cons, but normally the pros outweigh the cons, hands down. But they're just going to be stuck at 4, but they can bring it to a 5. Venators can with a shield, and Kineticans can as well. Upgrades. I'm still working on this and whatnot. So if you find Votan ore, Orion ore, Sierra steel, and just things like that, you can actually buff up your attack damage and stuff like that. Make weapons out of it. But I'm still working on it. Scrap. That's just kind of like an extra thing for people. A little extra thing to collect. Something to kind of focus on. It's multifaceted, so you can just collect junk if it don't mean anything to you to sell, and get some extra coin. Just rummaging and finding junk after a battle, or on a person, or when you're searching. Or you can turn that junk, based on what level it is, into ammo casings and stuff. And pretty much ammo. And there's other things you can do with it too. And depending what class you are, will give you a different outlook on how you see junk. Another person's trash is another person's treasure. Yeah. Still developing that, but it's pretty much close to being stated and done. But there might be a little bit more I need to, adjust and connect. Oh yeah, we got overdrives. What I talked about a little bit earlier. You got 18, 19, and 20 that give you caliber points. Once you collect 4 caliber points, you could do a massive free attack. Don't cost nothing. You just simply have to state it that you use it. And true caliber hits, which is pretty much a nat 20, gives you 1 too. But you can't cheat this, but you have to pay some money and find them. You can go to an onsen, a healing chamber, or a trained healer, and then they'll be able to give you your overdrive that you can just carry around with you. I haven't came up with a price, I don't think yet, but we'll get there. But you got 2 types of overdrives. You got the damage type, do massive damage, or you can do like a crazy buff. Either one wastes your overdrive, but you still have options. So if you're a god and stuff like that, you can use these abilities. Got their own perks and stuff. Firestorm, Infernal Beam. They do high damage and crazy stuff. Yeah. Really cool stuff. And you go in more into like some of the mortal stuff. And then God's Overdrive for buffs. Create like arena wood armor. Arena wood is like the toughest wood in the game, in my story world. So it just gives you +2 AR, +12 defense, 1d12 rounds. So you can have up to 12 rounds with this buff, you know, other than using some sort of like crazy attack like what is it? Golden Beam, which is another nature god sort of thing. 45 damage and push 20, you know. And get other buffs. Angels do 4 plus 40 HP to all allies. It just depends on what you want to do. It's basically like an overdrive limit break from like Final Fantasy, you know? Something like that. And you got mortals. You know, so you got Spirited Assault, a really cool, awesome combo attack. And you can do a support action in the middle of it. And you don't have to. I say right here in the little notes, the asterisk, you can choose to use support action or not. The attack can still continue. So it's just up to you. So maybe you want to heal your SP during it. Maybe you want to throw a net and capture somebody. Or maybe, you know, there's all kinds of different things you want to do. Maybe heal in the middle of it. You know? Just gives you a little extra option. And if you want, boom, you did Spirited Assault, and say you have 6 stamina points. It says right here, it costs 3 stamina in order to extend the attack even further. So you can keep doing 5 damage if you want. Just boom, automatic 5 damage. So you can do another 10 damage if you want. So 20 damage, 5, 10, 15, and you do 20, 25. You know, you do 45 damage with Spirited Assault. It's kind of crazy. And I'll say it and share it right now. With Spirited Assault, there is a master attack that combines this with other special abilities and weapons. So it extends pretty far. Yet again, giving you something to strive for and look for. You know, they're really cool, awesome attacks. Some specific to certain people too. Dragon Diver, that's mostly for mostly I had Chi Masters in mind, but you can also use mana to do it. Mana Beam, High Razor, Comet, all kinds of different cool stuff. And then overdrives for status and buffs. And then we're getting to these classes. The Chi Master. So they harness their energy from within, which often they need to train ever since they're a kid or teen. You know, so you just can't be a Chi Master overnight. Even if you're a grown adult, like you're 25 years old, there's still a good, very good chance that you hardly ever will master or learn Chi. That's just that crazy of a technique. You know, you have to have masters that teach you, and you have to be pretty much drowning in the teachings of it and training. But if you want to choose a Chi Master, you know, there's directions that you can go with this after reading everything, because the counters and extensions could do a lot of damage. You know, normally you do 1d4 with counters and extensions, a little extra attack at the end of your combos or a reaction to the enemy's attack. They do 1d6. So, I mean, they definitely have the edge to that. And welcome back, Azriel. Got some Chinese food, huh? Teriyaki chicken? Man, that sounds delicious. Tasty, tasty, tasty. Man, I bet that would go good with my wine. Not gonna lie. Dude, wine and meats, such a good combination. Man, yeah, I hope you enjoy that food. That sounds delicious. Enjoy that food as you enjoy these awesome classes. And then, what other? Yeah, the counters and extensions are a big thing. They can eventually do airwalk. So, they got some bonuses there. You get bonuses with their ER. You can leap higher and do speedfall damage more often. The negative, they do have a negative. They don't use any guns or ammunition weapons due to their teachings. I mean, you can override this if you truly wish to. You know, I'm not gonna hold it against anyone that wants to be some sort of chi master that uses guns, you know, whatever. But this is just within the system to balance it. I kind of balanced it because since you can't use guns and ammunitions, you can use throwing kunai or rocks even infused with chi. So it gives those an extra +2 damage that normally wouldn't give to anyone else. So I kind of balance it a little bit, but you know, do with what you will. And then now special abilities. Like if you were to choose the Chi Master and you kind of like what they're going for, all these right here, you'd get for free. Boom, you pretty much copy and paste or write these down. You have these to use. That uses your Chi gauge to pull them off. It's pretty much a freebie attack. And there's gonna be a lot more you can unlock. You know, so special abilities that that need to be learned. So you need 55 EXP, but no one else can get this. You'll be able to do the Chi Force, makes you like really buffed for a bit. Chi Wave, so you can shoot out like a wave of Chi with 15 damage, which is pretty good for 70 feet for 3 Chi, which needs to be CHP. I need to change that because I got condition points. That's one thing I needed to change. I'll have to change that later, but we'll put that for now. So you've been ranting to yourself while I was gone? Now I've been ranting to the internet. That's what I've been doing. And to all that will hear. But yeah, in a sense, to myself. But no, I've been ranting to you. As of right now, anyway. Yes, yes, yes. That's the beauty of this VOD. It'll be there forever. Unless I delete it. Yes, yes. But yeah, I'd be happy to know what you think of this, Azriel. If you have any thoughts on this. I don't know if you ever played D&D before, but yeah, if anything catches your eye, I'd love to hear it. Or if you're working on anything. Always like to hear people's passions and dreams and projects and stuff. I know you draw a bit. Yeah, they got Chi Waves, so they got extra cool attacks that they can do. You know, and it's pretty much for free. You know, it seems like it's high cost when someone has like a Chi gauge, a power gauge, condition, Kinetican, and whatever other gauges, Mutasphere for Venators. It seems like a lot because they're only going to get like a set amount. But in aspects, this really is a freebie thing, you know? So you get an extra gauge that some people may not have. So technically you got like a free attack or free perks, free skills. And then there's a skill you can learn. I'm planning on adding a little bit more maybe, but Airwalk's pretty cool. So pretty much if you get pushed off cliffs and stuff, pretty much don't work. You control the mana underneath your foot and you're able to save yourself, sort of thing. And then we got one of my favorite classes, the Venator. Pretty much a monster hunter. And they can hold up to 20 items, double than any of the others. They can unlock the skill 2 support actions at a higher level, which is pretty cool. They get plus 30 XP on monster quests and plus 50 coin on them. So I think this is what's going to stand out in my game too. Because say if you have a player that's going to be a wizard, and you got another one that wants to be a wizard or a mage, you know, they want to be like cool and you know, like magics together, like they came from the same school. You know, I'm just making something up on the spot. And you got a vagabond warrior, you know, and then you got a Venator that's in there. And then you're like, well, they all got their own perks, and they all got their own things they can do within quests. But it's like, man, I want to hunt some monsters. Well, guess what? Since you got a Venator on your side, he or she will be super beneficial to you to take on monster quests. All right, I'll go ahead and set up the quest, and we'll get 30 EXP and 50 coin just because I'm in the party. You know, and it also gives you the urge to want to do them. You know, it's like, oh man, I want to do 2 quests to give us 60 EXP. That's a level up, and plenty to buy some skills and special abilities. You know, providing based on the quest too. You know, it could last the entire session. It could, you know, you don't know what the RM has in store, but that's pretty cool. You do have a negative. You cannot wear full body armor, shield. Oh, no shield. I guess I did say no shield. I'll keep that, but if the player truly wants a shield, I mean, that's still going to be okay. You get a unique gun. Your V coat has +4 defense, which is still pretty good defense. That'll never change. Using a mutasphere, you do have like an extra thing, but it drains HP when you use it. And you got extra overdrive, by the way. So you just still got 2. You got an extra one that you could pull off because you're a Venator. Hammer of Dawn. And then if you pick the Venator, you automatically get all these that you can use. So boom, you write this on your character sheet or you paste it. And you got all these that you can use, and you can read them and just figure out how you want to use them. And then you got special abilities that you can learn and whatnot. Multi-throw, a lot of people would be after this one. You know, 2 support actions, so you can heal yourself or an ally, or heal 2 allies, or heal mana and a potion. You know, it gives you a lot of options. Even though it takes 1 stamina point, that's a low price. And you got a lot of cool, awesome attacks. You got Don't Touch Me, which is really cool. It's a counter from a slam, grab, throw, or ram attack. So if something grabs you, you pretty much do protrude spikes. Actually, let me do this. I forgot to put this on here. Immediate. So you just boom, pull off, well, no, it's not going to be SP. It's going to be MP. And let's do just 2 HP for yourself. Yeah, that's a good one. All kinds of cool stuff. Oh, I wrote it down again here. Hold on. I listed it as multi-throw. I'll leave it for now, but I'll probably end up erasing that. And Venators, by the way, get a really cool, unique gun they get as monster hunters. The gun's called Triple Threat. So it's got 3 canisters that you can use, and they can rotate and stuff. And it's got stun gas, freeze gas, paralyzed gas, poison gas that you can do statuses with. And basically you gotta find mushrooms and stuff like that that produce these things and collect them. Be like a searching thing, sort of thing. And you got 3 spike shot, so you need special arena wood made into spikes for ammunition. So it's expensive wood in order to have this 3-shot thing. And the wood is rare and expensive and hard to find, but you can shoot 3 at once, and you can carry up to 9. So that's 3 shots total. So you can do 3d6 damage plus 3 damage against monsters at 70 feet for only 1 SP. Pretty solid. Nice little extra thing. And they also get curved triple threat blade. So they do a little bit extra damage when it comes to counters. Pretty cool. You got superhumans. These are people with like extra gifts. They get powers and stuff like that if you want to go that direction. You know? So we got one that does matter manipulation and special abilities that come with that. And ones that they need to learn. Create a cannon out of matter that's around you. Zombification. You know, rip off your arm and attack with it. And there's all kinds of stuff. I talked about this in an earlier stream. So I did talk a lot about some of these. Yeah. Maybe alchemist. I talked a little bit about that. Things you can learn. You get the wizard, mage, and necromancer, which is all pretty much close to the same, but they do have differences. Wizards can do more powerful attacks, magic attacks. Mages are kind of intermediate. You know, they could do certain things that the others can't, which is all listed here. And necromancers have access to caliber 2 and 3 summons, which they're the only ones that could do 3 summons, which are more sentient, materialized summoned creatures. And it shows you all the perks that you get, and other perks that mages, wizards, and necromancers have, or the difference between the wizard and mage. And then their special abilities they can get. Same thing with necromancers. Then we go into artificer, which I think we talked about this one too in the last one. At your sanctuary pillars, you get to choose one. So you can't have them all. And they have have artifacts that pretty much give you a lot of cool benefits, upgrades, buffs, and attacks. Then you got floating guardians. You got 2. This is the second one. You got 2 giant shields that you can use, defense and attack. And then you got your tech skeleton, which is pretty much like a armored robot, not robot, but skeletal suit. And then you get to do a lot of cool stuff with it. And this is where you use your condition bar. So you get an extra ability bar, extra bar you can use for special abilities and other perks with it. A lot of cool stuff with this. Yeah, really cool. And you got detective and the secret agent. Gives you all the perks that it gives you. So you got perks and you got special abilities and skills. They're all very specific to it. A new one I put on here for special agents and detectives, that if you're wearing a hat, you are immune to blindness. Or if you have sunglasses. Those cool sunglasses that special agents have. Tipping your hat and blocking a blind attack or a magic spell. So if you have like this big hat, you just pretty much tuck your hat or lean a little bit and block it. If you don't have the hat, you are so reflexive when it comes to those types of attacks that you cover your eyes up with your hand quickly to avoid it. So I still give you the perk, regardless, even if you don't have a hat. Yeah. Same thing with the secret agent, wearing sunglasses. They got some cool attacks. All kinds of cool stuff. If they sneak up behind you, you got a really cool sudden back kick. Do some crazy damage, stunned, all that different stuff for not too much SP. But they have to be right behind you. A lot of cool attacks here. Especially the physical stuff. Because there's actually going to be, I'll tell it right now, there's actually going to be like some cultural differences in Rangerist where you can't use guns or you can't use certain things, and physical special abilities and physical attacks may be your only option, or pay a penalty, or maybe you just don't have your weapons, right? There's special abilities you can get with EXP, but you have to pay for those and stuff like that too, just as you do with some of these. But Detective and Special Agent definitely has a lot more versatility when it comes to physical attacks. So you may be pretty dominant in that. Or if you got in a bar fight and all you do is use your fists and stuff, well, all these are going to give you a pretty good chance to win that bar fight, right? That's kind of how I'm trying to build this game too. There's an aesthetics to it that whatever that you choose to do on a narrative, story plot, or role-playing aspect, you got it. You got the edge. Not just I throw the punch, roll the dice, see if I hit. I'm going to tackle them into the wall. All right, let's roll and see if you do that. There's actually special abilities that already kind of do all that stuff for you with benefits. You tried teriyaki chicken before? Yeah, it's tasty. Yeah, it's definitely good. And believe it or not, I went to this Chinese restaurant before, and guess what they sold? Not gonna believe it. Not gonna believe it. They had peanut butter chicken. And I know, sounds crazy. But you know what? It tasted good. Not gonna lie. It's actually good. It worked well together. I mean, I'm a big peanut butter fan, but when I first seen it, I'm like, man, I don't know about this. We'll see. But it was good. It was good. Peanut butter chicken. Kind of crazy. I mean, I'll try something once, I guess. Gotta live a little. But then again, sometimes when you try something, you may not live at all. Gotta choose your battles, right? But yeah, now we enter the Vagabond Warrior. This one I really worked on and upgraded. It's a very balanced class. It's pretty much like the warrior class in D&D, but obviously it's got a lot of good perks, and it can head in any direction that you want. Okay. So it does have a triple/slash driver and whatever, and it's a +4 to AR, so your attack roll. So say you rolled a 12, well, you actually get a 16. So you'd be able to hit a creature that was at 13. You would have missed, but this ability now hits them with 15 damage. Pretty cool. But it's a little different, okay? For that much damage and that much chance to hit for only 4 SP is awesome. But the next time you use this for the battle, just that battle that you're in, it goes up by 1 SP each time. So you don't abuse it. You're pretty much getting tired through the battle. That's what that's saying. So eventually it stops at 7 SP for this, which I'm not gonna lie, that's still, that's pricey, that's high, but for 15 damage for almost a guaranteed hit, still not bad. So I'm really making the Vagabond Warrior a damage dealer and someone that can take damage, but it can really go in whatever direction you want to put it. And you're very balanced warrior. You get attributes of many other classes. You can often buff yourself. Anything tracking or strength-wise, you get a +5 on that roll. So always, when you write these down, when you pick your class, make sure to always remember this stuff to tell your RM, Yeah. And you get another big one too. This is big. Normally you can buy a holder for a lot of coin, and you can carry extra of a certain item. Say you got 10 item slots, and you got, some ammunition, some potions, some mana potions, and some smoke pellets and stuff. But you're like, man, I kind of wish I had a little bit more extra health potions. And you could buy a holder that carries 2 potions, and it actually gives you 2 more item slots only for potions. So you can put either mana, health potions, or you could put some of the other potions that's out there. Anything that's a potion, you can carry. So it gives you that. I might have a few more perks, but that's kind of where I stopped. And you are a combo master. So this one's a really cool one. It's agility. So this is really, you automatically get this stuff, which is really good. It's 2d12, 10 feet distance away from the target if you're choosing. So you have to be 10 feet away. And you get to choose agility type. Kind of like this. It has to say agility in front of it because you're moving. You have to do like a leap, a distance. You have to move while you're attacking. That's an agility sort of attack. And then you get to do that special ability. So you pay the 4 to do all this stuff. But say the agility ability that you want is only 2. Well, that'd be 6 total SP, and if you have enough, you can pull that off. And you get all these, and you get Vigor. So this Vigor is really cool. You can raise your natural HP output by 20 HP for the battle. It goes away after the fight is done. So for -8 SP, you can raise. So say if you have 75 max HP, and when you get damaged and you heal, even if you heal 30 over 75, it still stops at 75, right? Well, what Vigor does for that battle, it raises it even further beyond that, and you can heal to that until the battle's over. So you actually got 95 HP topped out. I mean, you have to pay a pretty steep -8 stamina points to pull that bad boy off. But, I mean, that definitely gives you an edge in battle to be a tank, right? The option is there. And, how you fall in status and stuff, and you recover, they get a little bit extra bonus when it comes back into the battle, Really cool stuff. So they're just made to stick it out and fight hard. And later abilities, by the way, they got a lot of cool attacks and buffs. They got Ryodin. You can manipulate your mana into energy and then let it out in a sudden burst. You train hard to keep it just within the inside of your body and just a skin layer outside, keeping an immense fluttering and raging aura around you. So it buffs you like crazy with like +2 damage and +1 evade roll, +20 movement. Capture and holds do not work on you. You just kind of like shrug out of them. And handcuffs are placed on you, you snap them, or ropes get on you, you just snap them. +4 defense if you ever choose the guard. That's just the option's just there. +2 magic resistance. So magic, you negate 2 damage from whatever magic that hits you. Oh man, you get 2 extra there. Hold on. 3, 4, so maybe 5. I didn't know if I put this there for like ER for magic resistance, but I think it's just defense. So pretty much this is the same, really. Yeah. And +1 to your attack roll, so it just gives you a little extra edge in attacking. And your special abilities get a +2 damage as well. It stays on for 4 rounds, so you have to spend 20 mana and 6 SP points for that. Really good. It gives you a hard edge. And really cool attacks that you can do. You can even upgrade Ryodin, but you have to wait till you're level 16, so way later but you can do like a crazy buff. I got a lot of motivation from Kaioken. Yeah, and Dragon Ball Z when they do Kaioken and shit like that. Yeah, that's where Ryoden kind of came from. Just gave it my own twist. Then we got Shinobi, pretty much ninjas. Got their own little way about them and stuff like that. Cool special attacks and stuff. Gain plus 10 movement speed regardless of what agility scope you picked. Yeah, so you get plus 10 on top of whatever you got. You gain Shadow Step and later Flash Step. Offered to you early, the others need to reach level 16 to a chain. So you get like early access to some stuff. And throwing weapons do extra damage because you're proficient with it. So they're definitely a range type with bonuses. If you want to go range or like a last-ditch effort sort of attack, you know, or you can't reach your enemy, you know, you're one that the team can depend on. Yeah. Well, let me check something. Okay, cool. Depend on. And they just got a lot of cool stuff, a lot of agility attacks. Oh. Okay, cool. Yeah. Giant Shuriken Crash, really cool stuff. Shadow Step. Once in a battle, if you're... Oh, let's change that. If you are targeted, you may declare a Shadow Step before the enemy rolls. Oh, let's do an intermediate. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Immediate. Play a Shadow Step before the enemy rolls. You get a +7 to your ER. Every new battle, you can use it again. Anytime you are targeted. So it's basically immediate. You only get it once. Once a battle, you could use it. But you basically make like at the last second, like a shadow clone, you know, of yourself. And they hit that instead. And they also get a really cool thing, because I didn't want just like some people would like to use the bow as like their main weapon, right? And I didn't want to take that away from people. You know, maybe they do want their character to be represented by a bow. That's who they are as a person. So they actually make a bow and a mana arrow out of their mana based on their shinobi abilities and training. So it's pretty much acts as like a normal weapon with infinite ammo and even a 30-foot range, which is not bad. Yeah, so it gives you an edge. That's a hard perk that you got just for a normal attack. And then you got cool, awesome attacks with it. Mana Gen Arrow, an arrow with extra mana infused with it for lots more power. Yeah, so you got that. Transmission Arrow. Arrow range, shadow clones, all kinds of cool stuff. Flash Step, you can use 10 mana to disappear and appear behind the enemy like a shadow. As a blur of your dark image appears just before your body does. Used with any standard attack from 50 feet away. Dang, so movement is no longer an issue for you. And you can appear behind them, which I said it in other Ranger streams, but if you attack an enemy from the side, you get a +1 to your attack roll. Or it's pretty much a -1 to their evade roll, either or. But if you're behind them, then you get +2. So you save your movement with a Flash Step just by using 10 mana. Boom, you're there. You're behind them, and you can attack, and you still got a move, right? Some monsters with tails and certain other characters and stuff like that, they do special abilities when you're behind them. So this can actually save you from that. So say, okay, I got 10 mana to spare. I do Flash Step, boom, I'm behind them. Well, I didn't waste any movement at all. So I do my special ability, and attack them from behind with a +2 to attack roll. And then I move out of the way and get some distance, you know? So you can be really a guerrilla warfare type of a shinobi. That's kind of what it designed you for, you know? And also, you can get some major distance because some special abilities push, right? We talked about that as an attribute or a status. So say you pushed them 10 feet away with their special ability. So you're not even behind them anymore, but you can also run away further than what you were, making it really hard for the enemy to catch you. And then you got Kineticin, you know, special cyborg race that has like a organic metal that's on them that collects kinetic energy. They use that kinetic energy to increase their stats and also to use it as like an attack. Really cool stuff. And they get an extra kinetic bar to use. Really fun, really cool. Yeah, awesome stuff there. I talked about it before. And you do got the Merc. Merc is more organized towards like guns and exploding stuff and dodging bullets and just certain other aspects of the game that you can really take advantage on. But also, some of their perks are so worth it. Since Mercs are resourceful and they have connections, they negotiate. You know, they're in that world, you know, of negotiating and quests and hunting down things and things of that nature. And they're part of a guild, basically, a Merc guild. You have to actually get a license, and there's different types of Mercs. But you can always go to one of these places or a guild, and then every new one that you go to, it can't be the same one, or every new session, I should say, sorry. But you can cover 2 magazines, okay? For free, 2 gunpowders for free, 2 rations, which I might change that, I don't know, and 2 throwing knives or axes, and 2 healing leaves, 2 mana stones. Each town or city you visit, I might make that with just like each session, but it's just a nice little bonus you could do each time. And then this is one of the biggest ones. Once people know and understand the value of last rites, they will consider this like huge, because last rites will actually if you were able to pay like 2,000, I forgot what it was, 2,300, 2,500 coin, last rites will actually save the party's life. So you can go and tackle any boss, any quest, anything you want, and then if you all fall in battle, last rites are like people that are closely watching you, and they'll save you at the last second and bring you back to the place where you bought their services from, you know? So as an RM, you can just pretty much put it all on the line and go after your players and make it fun and don't worry about them dying. And also the characters don't have to worry about them, you know, dying themselves, but everything they use to prepare for it, you know, will be lost. But that's the name of the game, right? But this gives you a discount on that. You know, so it's 300 coin cheaper. And they got extra abilities that they can have and stuff like that. I might add more, but this is a big one to be a Merc. But then they also got all kinds of other cool stuff. You know, dodge bullets, grenade blade. They're very versatile, and they're versatile in explosives and range. Handcuffed arrest. You tackle and finesse around the small to medium-sized targets. You can't do it to a large or gargantuan giant. Okay, you're not putting them in handcuffs. Sorry to say. And placing handcuffs or tied rope on them quickly. You can kind of choose what you want. So you actually damage them. You put them in a capture with this skill. Pretty cool. So you're doing 2 things at once there. And then next round, they got to beat a 12 in order to free themselves and continue. And if they don't escape, boom, their turn is skipped and you're attacking them, you know? They got other cool stuff. Locked in, line them up. Yeah. I'm not done with the Merc yet, but I got a good thing going on for it. And then the Cook Masters. You got the buff. The ultimate buff person. Because I don't know if, chat, if you played Monster Hunter, that's kind of where Cook Masters is really kind of coming into my head. Where I hardly ever see anyone playing them, but there's like a weapon you can use to buff your allies. It's like some sort of giant flute musical mace thing. And you're able to like buff the entire party as you fight monsters. Cook Masters are like that, but you're not strictly just buffers. Like you have awesome cool attacks. You don't have to be attacking with the pan. You could have, a halberd, a spear, claws. You could be a super cool warrior Cook Master. You're just a master of foods. And you fuse mana with them. You're able to, you have a lot of perks, by the way. I'm not gonna read them all, but there's a lot of cool perks. And you're beneficial in ballroom stuff, parties and dances, but we'll get into that a little later. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can actually throw ballroom parties, just saying. We'll get into it. But they're just big time buffers and healers, and then they give you like a big edge when it comes to saving your ass, and last ditch efforts. And you also have really cool attacks, and you have all the special abilities and the normal special ability list and skills like everyone else too. So you can be a cool fighter as well. But you got a lot of cool buffs. Fiery Spice, damage buff, ton to fight, you got evade roll. Just does a lot of cool stuff for you. Makes it harder for the enemies to hit you. A lot of cool stuff. And then more stuff but the thing is with the Cook Masters, by the way, for them to learn certain new special abilities, they not only need to pay the experience costs, the thing is that they have to find and possess the ingredient in order to learn the special ability. That's the big difference here. So if there's a quest where it's like, find us the Yellow Horizon Spice. Oh man, and you got a Cook Master, obviously. And you don't have to have a Cook Master, by the way. It could just be a quest that you do. Maybe if you have a Cook Master in your team, you're like, man, that's something I really want to do, guys. Let's do it. Because I'll be able to get this new ability. So you do the quest, it could take you the entire session. It could take you just, 20 minutes, up to the RM, wherever the story takes you. So you complete the quest and you get the Yellow Horizon Spice, out of the quest and whatnot. Then guess what? Now you can spend the 24 experience to buy this and learn New Horizon if you're a Cook Master. And you got 14 damage, 40 feet wide, which is phenomenal, by the way. 30 feet reach. So it's like a big line of like this light of this spice that you fused your mana with that fires all these spice-like star, blasts and stuff like that. And it blinds them as well because it's so bright. And it's only 6 SP. Crazy, crazy good thing right there. And then you got other aspects too, other abilities that you need to do the same thing. For Nitro Boost, you need the Cayenne Pepper Nitro extract. And you can do a quest or a story for that. Golden Dust Potion, really good. Other stuff. And Superhuman with the Vampire. Which this needs to go back up to the superhero thing as well. Yeah, this is kind of just extra. It's just floating there. It's not completely cleaned up, but there are going to be some things that's a little out of place. Celestials, again, I kind of just touched based on it. That needs to go all the way back up. And Gods, special abilities, I kind of expanded a little bit more on there. Yeah. A lot of cool abilities that they could use. Based on what kind of god you want to be as well. If you want to be like a Cosmo space god, then you can go with like a Meteor Punch and stuff like that. And we did go into master abilities on one of my other Ranger streams, but you pretty much combine other special abilities and even that's not an ultimate, that's an overdrive. You combine special abilities, multiple ones to create ultimate abilities or master, or you can even combine your own overdrive with other stuff and make like an awesome, cool attack. But this one needs the Crimson Blade to do. Once you have the Crimson Blade has the Crimson Veil Blade has an ability called Blade Storm, I think, on it. And if you have Spirited Assault as an overdrive, if you pick that, then you combine that with Blade Storm, and then you created Crimson Veil, an ultimate attack. And here's the entire attack called Crimson Apocalypse. You know, that's a master ability. And you just read all that and see all the crazy damage and stuff they can do. You know, then again, another cool thing you could strive for. Same thing with Perish. You know, you need a Wasp Nest, Breaker of Bones, Atomic Crash, and Charge Strike. You need to pay for all these special abilities with your experience points. And if you have all these, you have to have all these in your special ability list. And then you can pay and then this unlocks this. So you have to pay 40 to learn Perish. And then you just follow the rules, how to activate it. You have to have at least 2 caliber points to do it. But then you can unleash this bad boy. And then you got another one. Really cool stuff. Oh yeah, I need to put this further up. This is way too far down. But you got the... I need to put this up close to the character design area. But yeah, starting character and perks. This would be a fun one for people, you know? Because it gives you just an edge of how you want to build your character. If they're suffering in something, when you pick your scopes, like your condition, agility, power, and intellect, you can balance it a little bit with this. So if you have low intellect, maybe you can go ahead and do a large mana domain, you know? And you're born with a higher potential of mana. So it gives you an extra 10 mana points, just to give you a little edge. Or if you're maxed out in mana points and you want to go even further, you can go that way, you know, based on how you want to play. Because magic spells cost a lot, okay? So anything you can do to have more mana, because maybe you want to buff everyone at the start of a fight, but that drains pretty much all your mana. And then you want to be able to do some crazy damage or teleport away. But imagine you only have just enough MP to buff everyone and you're pretty much like dead in the water. Well, if you keep upgrading your MP, you design your character in a way that gives you the most output and stuff, then maybe you can buff everyone, teleport away, and then be able to cast one spell that captures the opponent. And then maybe you have a meditate mana where you restore your mana and then use like throwing items and stuff like that, and then you restore your mana and then you do, you know, long range magic attacks while the party's fighting. You know, there's so many ways you can design it. And then you got Fountain of Youth, gives you an extra 10 life. You have to pick 5 of these, and then you can't change them once you get them. Trained Dungeon Diver, so you know you get +2 on all rules involving traps, climbing, navigating, puzzles, secrets, and treasure lockpicking only while in a dungeon. A cave, a tomb, a catacomb, castle, dungeon, etc. don't count. It just gives you big buffs on everything involving a dungeon. So if you want to roll for something, you know, you'll get a +2 on it. And that's with all this stuff. Honed body, your conditioning, breathing, and focus is honed. This gives you an extra 2 SP, by the way. To be honest, I'd probably get this for sure. Yeah, regardless. And probably this. Those are like the guaranteed ones. Because I mean, having 2 extra SP is crucial. And And then superior reflexes, it gives you 1 plus ER. So you can have a max of 17 if you have max conditioning. Really good. Excuse me. Okay. And you got all kinds of other stuff too. Superior Violet. Whatever you really want to go for, you can do it. Questmaster. You get to choose one quest color. So red, blue, green, whatever quest that's out there. We'll get into that a little bit later. Because there's different types. And they each do different things. That allows you to negotiate the price you receive with a roll. 10 to 100 coin increased possibility based on what RM decides. So say, quickly, you're a Venator, right? And you get plus 30 EXP and plus 50 on the quest. So you get whatever the quest gave you. So say it was 20 EXP and 40 gold that each party member gets. Well, you already increased that by having a Venator on your side. But say you as a Venator used Questmaster for monster quests. So you can add even more coin on top of that. So 5, 6, 7, 8, you get 80 coin. And then you could roll, or the RM could just decide based on the quest. You get an extra 120 coin on this bad boy from just a 40 coin quest. You know, if you want to go that way. And then if you're a detective and you like the blue mystery ones, because you get bonuses on that, as a quest master, you can choose blue and then get more coin on that stuff. So I give you all kinds of possibilities to kind of how you want to go. This is also a really good one too, not gonna lie. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. All kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, really cool. I might come with more, but this is a pretty good starter set. And we get the quests, believe it or not. We just go right on to the adjacent thing. Where you can go to quest guild or quest boards and accept them. But black will be standing guard, foraging, simple hunting stuff, and then ask your RM basically how much and how difficult it'll be, how much EXP and how much gold you'll get. And this is just like a range. You know, it could be anything, whatever you guys decide or the RM decides. And then red will be hunting or capture. It's got its own thing, and it adds 1 to rep when you do this. Start gaining rep that way. And then blue is mystery or assisting somebody, you know. And turquoise is research magic, you know, something funky that's going on, artifact that's acting weird, or a magic circle that glowed one night when it's supposed to be inactive. You know, just things like that. Or a scroll is like all messed up, but it's still functional. So they want you to travel somewhere to get it understood. You know, whatever you want to do. All these each have their own little thing. Green is artifact search, tomb raiding, ingredient search. So a food master might really want to do this. Yellow is searching for a person, so it's very specific. And gray is only mercs can accept. So this is another merc thing. If you're a merc, only you can do this, and you actually get big EXP and gold benefits. So having a merc on your side gives you big incentive to do one of these. And you got silver, which is only for knights. Only knights can do. Which I have to figure out more about that, to be honest with you. Either you become a knight, or I should make one of the classes knight-based, I guess. I have to figure that out. Well, maybe... Let's do this. Only vagabonds and wizards can't do. someone that's really traveled, experienced, and strong can do this one. Let's do that. And orange is assisting another person's quest. So someone took on a quest and they're hiring other people for their quest and adventure. You got orange that does that. And again, some of these are just kind of extra, but it's also, I'm trying to aid in narratives and helping the RM kind of design a cool quest and a cool story and cool RP, and also giving players a little bit something to chew on, you know, when it comes to these. And rep quests. So if you have high reputation, you can do these. So 4, you can do a certain one. 8, you unlock a certain one. 10, you unlock a certain one. And you can always ask the RM. The RM can make that up. You know, that's on them too. White, a quest that you can learn powerful spell, special ability, an ultimate ability, or a skill. So white is one that would really lead people to it as well. So you can learn something. So it's not really experience or coin you're going after. You're going after these things. And then gold is a hard mission. You know, you need 4 rep in order to start that. Purple, long voyage. Royal magenta is a king and queen quest. Needs unlocked by a king and queen or a ballroom party worthy of their attention. And that's where the ballroom party comes in, where you have to throw that in order to start your journey to a royal magenta, right? So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it really starts leading into things. And Crimson is a world-ending, city destruction, incoming powerful threat sort of thing. And I'm still working on these, but I'm going a little bit more detail. This might be in the other book. This is one of those things where I might add into the other book, where I go over each one and I give like hopeful hints, ideas, story plots, a little bit more what they're about, you know, just things like that, a little more detailed. And recovery squad mechanic, that's what I was talking about earlier with Last Rites. I want more options. So Last Rites, these are the most expensive, but will save you after an entire party has fainted. So everyone's gone, 2,500 coin, and boom, you got that. But obviously, I think I say it up here, I'm not sure, but maybe like in a story narrative last battle, you know, the RM could be like, well, you guys got Last Rites, but this don't really count because they can't reach you, sort of thing. Because you don't want to completely just ruin a story, right? Last Rites are more for like a really tough boss or a mission or something like that that you can just go back to. Yeah, ask your RM to figure that out. And Medic Squad, a little cheaper, but you got someone that can come help you out. You know, so these are people that are only there to assist you. If 2 of your team members have fallen, so 2 people fallen, healing the entire party, reviving to full life, then leaving for good. So it's it's a nice little recovery thing that they'll do. Automatically activates when that happens. And mage support, so you can have like an attack option. These are mages that will aid you in either 1 attack or 1 magic buff. They can send a barrage of fireballs, lightning, rock spikes, or ice spikes, a widespread average magic damage, or they can place barriers all around your allies and then leave for good. A little cheaper, just a nice little bonus, you know. They cast it on all enemies for attacks and cast it on all the players for buffs. So they cast, you get to choose one, basically how you want them to navigate it. They got magic resistance +3, they'll give to you. -6 damage against all magic spells, and they'll do a mana blast on everyone, all the enemies, and then leave. And they'll do that, healing breeze, and then lightning on everyone, or they'll do a cloud break, which makes all their evade rolls go down. They'll cast on every single on every single player. So they got like 2+2 ER, and then gravity on the enemies, which actually aid you even further in that. And then you got all the power gauges and stuff: stamina, mana, power, kinetic, muse, sphere, chi, and condition. There will be more. by the way. But stamina is your average, you know, for all physical special abilities and stuff. You do rest. Let's do 3 with this. Or maybe 4? Let's do 4. You have a -3 to the R when doing this. There you go. You have to have some sort of negative when it comes to it. And mana just talks about your mana and how to replenish it and stuff like that. Condition is artificers, artifacts, machines, things of that nature, and how to repair them. Level 2 junk. Normally, this would just be sold or formed into ammo, but for artificers and certain other people, it's has a whole different use. So I think that's a pretty cool aspect. Depending on what class you are, you know, junk will mean something different. And special abilities and skills tells you what they all are. Special abilities are skills, what agility skills are, the basis of that, what a powerhouse one is. You know, high damage but low accuracy. Run and gun, it's pretty much like agility but with guns. Magicka, which is like special abilities infused with magic, some sort of elemental type. Standard, just normal attacks. And just, it goes a little bit more into that. And more descriptions and stuff, more specifics, just in case someone has any sort of like second guesses on it. Tells you what charge attack it does. Another example, things of that nature. Then we got magic spells. Yeah, tells you a little bit about them. You got offensive spells, defensive spells, buff spells, healing, enhance, abuse spells, all that stuff. Tells you about magic or spell scrolls, how they're used and stuff. And then you got all the magic you can use, guys. You're still awake? I am. Still alive. What time is it? It's 3:16? Holy crap, man. I haven't been paying attention. It is pretty late. Okay. You know how far we are right now? We got 365 pages of 116,062 words. We're on page 131 out of 365. Can you believe that? Dang. And there's still so much to go through. But with magic, it's pretty cool. You just pretty much pay a magic cost, and it lets you know 2 things, by the way, before we get into all this. What it does. You normally get, and there's an important distinction here too. You need 10 EXP to learn Floating Sword. But if it ever has a cost next to it, like this, cost, or no, sorry, scroll cost, and then it says 14 coin, then this is a scroll that you can buy in like a magic shop of this spell. You know, so you can actually buy the spell, put it in an item slot, or a scroll holder if you get that specific. You know, so you can either learn it for 10 XP or the scroll cost. Which I'm still slacking in the magic department because I got different levels, different caliber levels of spells. You know, like level 1, level 2, level 3, and whatnot. And I gotta go in through all these and separate them to which ones will be which, so I could make it to where non-magic users can do all like level 1 stuff. You know, like simple stuff like fireball and, you know, floating sword and magic spike. But the next one is more advanced stuff, you know, like trimmer and speedster, you know, what a mage could do, and wizards and stuff. Yeah. Where vagabonds and everyone else can still learn magic. but only to a certain extent. But they always have an option to use what wizards, necromancers, and mages can do with scroll spells. So it's not like they can't cast strong magic, but they do have to pay the cost, the coin, and carry it with them. Waste item space. You know, everyone's got their perks, pros and cons. Yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff here. Got a trimmer. This shakes the ground and splits up, trapping your feet in debris. As well as the sharp split rocks cutting your ankles and legs. So it does a little bit of damage, but mostly it causes -3 to evade roll for the target for the round. So the entire round, they have -3 ER. So you can hit them pretty easily. And then they struggle a little bit with their balance, so their attack roll, even if they're going to attack, is low with 40 radius. But I'm just saying, it costs a lot. That's 38 mana to do this, but it gives you such an edge for that round. If you use it just right, it can give you a big bonus. Reaver, break the fourth wall and stare. I'm actually talking to you, chat. I know you're there, looking at the screen right now. You just blinked. I've seen it. I'm telling you right now, you will love this game when it comes out. You will. But which individual? Oh, all of them. If you're looking at my eyes right now, it's you. Yes, you know. You know it's you. You can't deny it. I am the fourth wall. Oh, this one's a good one. This one's cool. Speedster. I might make this more of a cost, actually. 40. You place mana around the target and assists the being in moving faster with each movement. Gives you speed +1, which is really good, and it makes you attack before anything that has lesser speed. Even after the round restarts, by the way. So it's like initiative. You know, most things, like we're talking like 95% all have like speed 1. And then many other ones have speed 2, 3, and 4. You know, speed 2, you'll be able to attack first before anything that has speed 1. And then if you somehow use speed 1 at the start of the round, like say everyone's attacking already, and then your friend gave you this boost, a speedster, the round starts over, boom, you automatically go first, especially before the enemy. And then the rounds just kind of start over like that. And you get +20 movement. It lasts 1d4 rounds, so it could last 1 round, it could last 4 rounds. And it costs 12 mana, which is not right. That needs to be way more. Let's do 22. Because it's such a big advantage. Because technically you can almost get 2 extra turns if you time it right in a fight. And based on the order. Yeah. And then you got the opposite, Slog. This spell slows down the target, making the aura around their body stiffen and makes it hard for them to move. Speed -1, which having 0 don't matter. It just means that, you know, you're not going before anyone. And then -1 AR attack roll, and then -1 ER, this is really good, by the way. This needs to go up as well. Any status stuff is like crazy good. Let's do 22. And obviously you got your OG fireball. That's right, chat. It's in this game. You form a heated orb of fire that explodes into a large ball, and it fires from your hand with great force from mana pressure, slamming and engulfing the enemy with a scorching flame. Solid 12 damage. You're not rolling for it. It does automatic 12 damage if you can hit him. That's fire type. So if anything is weak against fire, it does an extra 5 or 10 damage based on what it is. If it's wood, it does 10. If it's monster or ice, it does 5. And only for 14 mana. Yeah. And you got heal, which is one that a lot of people I'm sure will get. You heal 15 HP, costs 20 mana to do. And you can upgrade that. And by the way, if you get heal +1, heal +2, heal +3, you can always do normal heal or any of the heals before. And you don't have to be stuck on heal +3. I actually almost dislike that in games when it did that. Like if you upgraded to something and it costs way more mana, you're like, oh man, I kind of want to go back to just normal heal. You know, I don't need to be doing heal +3 every time with, you know, the last battle only did like 10 damage to me, you know? What the hell? And then you got more passive stuff, Healing Breeze. You infuse your healing magic with the brief and small wind magic that blows through the battlefield, targeting your friends. Plus 10 HP, heal to all main party members. So it just heals everyone for 25 mana for just 10. Little less than heal, but it heals everyone. Yeah. And you got Cure. You know, that gives you an option to heal all these statuses. Not all statuses, by the way, but just the basic ones that you can heal. And you got Restora. This heals you through the rounds over time. So you got lesser heal, but it heals you through the rounds. And this actually comes into play later, believe it or not. With one of my cursed artifacts, the Cursed Sheath. Believe it or not, that'll come into play and beneficial with that. And I'll let you know. But it heals 5 HP. I should put that. I thought about changing it to LP, life points. I kind of did want to change it. You know, just to give Raintress that new edge, right? Deviating from everything else. Yeah, I might be doing that. It's going to throw people off a little bit because everyone knows what HP is, hit points. But I kind of want to be a little different. So I might be changing it to life points. But when I say LP or life points, I mean HP. And for 3 rounds. So the next round, you gain 5 HP. The next round, you gain 5 HP. That's really good. That is not bad at all. And then you can upgrade that. You know? And then you get +2 for that. Which obviously I need to just do the math. 5, 6. Actually, let's do 3 to balance it. So 5. I like doing these type of numbers. Even. 8. We'll do 10. Actually, no, I did do that for a purpose because the rounds are higher. Crap, sorry. My bad. That's actually wrong there. Let's do 8. Because the mana and the benefit is in the rounds. So it's 2 HP. It's pretty low. It's even lower than this. But for 10 rounds, you're getting 2 HP. So every round, 2 HP. Every round, so you're going to get a total of 20 HP that you're healing throughout that time. And this might benefit you more than more of the shorter rounds of higher HP. You can't stack these, by the way. I actually put that. This magic spell does not stack nor extend. It must run its course before casting. Need to spell that better. Casting again. I try to make that a big point where you can't stack things because I don't want the game to be rigged or unfair or broken. I'm trying to catch a lot of that stuff early. So each one has its own purpose. It has its own use. Yeah. This one's solid though. 4 life points for 10 rounds. That's 32, but I think that's a good price to pay. But that's good that that's that expensive, because it'd be cheesy to be able to cast it on every single member. You know, casting 2 of these spells is 64. You're nearly close to out of mana, depending. I mean, you always restore it, but you're talking like that's 2 rounds you wasted, and then maybe that's a round you wasted. But no, not really. You can use the support. You can heal your mana and then cast another spell. But still, you got magic resistance. I also gave that. So you have some defense against magic. Reviver cost a lot of EXP, but that's because this can revive. This is one of the rare ones that can revive an enemy, or an ally, if they're fallen or fainted. And magical mend, that's the only thing that could heal a summon. Yeah, you can't heal a summon by traditional means, or conventional means even. So if you learn this, you can actually heal your summons. Magnetic Force, that's the cool one. This is the one I talked about earlier when it came to like weapons and some places that forbid swords or other things. And it's beneficial to learn like the physical attacks, like hand-to-hand melee special abilities. Because if someone uses Magnetic Force, it's a magnetic field of magic in the form of a sphere or appears around you, making physical attacks with metal or tech falter or not reach you. So the more specific ones, negate attacks with metal strikes for 2 rounds. For 2 rounds, you can't hit someone with your sword. So that's special abilities that involve it. That's normal attacks. That's like an arrow, the middle tip. The mana can get through, by the way. So if you're a shinobi with the mana bow, you can still hit them. So everyone's got their own little perks and stuff. But that's a big one, What if you have not very many options to hit this dude, and he's hitting you with some crazy attacks? And also, if he has the Magnetic Force +1, so that's 4 rounds. It just extends it by 2 rounds for an extra 4 mana after learning this. But then if you have like strong physical attacks, then boom, you don't miss a beat and you're able to hit them. So sometimes you learn special abilities, not that you're going to use them all the time, is that you have them as an option for later. And once we get to the special abilities, that'll become more clear as well. You got small basic ones, it's pretty cool. Water Ball, Psychic Driver, Firestorm, Blinding Light, if you want to blind them, Poison Cloud, Mana Beam, Wind Slicer, that's kind of an important one that comes up later. And combinations spells, by the way. Illusion, Piercing Illusion, you got Barrier. Barrier's pretty cool, that's going to be fun because that's immediate. You waste a lot of mana, but you summon an inch-thick, large magical wall in front of you, blocking any attack from where you placed it from that direction. So if someone sends something at you or they're attacking you, you immediately call upon this once you purchase this and learned it. You get +4 defense, so if you're guarding, that'll automatically add more defense, and it'll give you +3 AR that it might miss for 12 mana. It kind of reminds me of Fearin, Beyond Journey's End, with like racing up their mana walls and stuff like that, their magic barriers and stuff like that to block magic attacks. It's kind of like that. You can do that in battle, pretty cool. And this is definitely a mage and 2nd level thing. So, detectives, venators, vagabond warriors, a lot of them can't learn this. So it's going to be exclusively cool magic defenses that only mages, necromancers, and wizards can learn. Gives the battle a little bit more dynamics. Orb Sphere, Lightning, Thunder. Only a wizard can learn this one. Really powerful attacks. Cloud Break, Gravity, Stone Wall, all kinds of cool stuff you can do. Mirror Black reflects small to large spells 2 rounds. So boom, you cast that on yourself for 2 rounds. You can reflect those. Only necromancers can do that. So it definitely gives them an edge in defense against magic spells. Pretty cool. Icy Blast, all kinds of cool stuff. And some of these actually kind of just assist you with other stuff too. You know, and they push opponents. Wind Blast. And you got combo magic. This is the fun part. You actually learn different magics. If you learn them, then you can. It's pretty much like the ultimate attacks and like the master attacks. So if you learn Float and you learn Wind Blast on separate, then you can pay for this one and learn Wind Driver. This can propel you at fast speeds in one direction, giving you double the sword damage, giving you a plus 10 damage if you successfully hit a normal hit. This also allows you to quickly evade an oncoming attack with a plus 5 ER. I should make this immediate. Yeah. It's not gonna be 4 mana, it'll probably be more. Maybe. But yeah, just, you know, you're able to use wind to increase your speed, right? That sounds kind of cool. You got Weight of the World. You have to learn Gravity. You have to learn Magnetic Pull. You have to learn Forceful Winds. And you have to learn Mana Manipulation. Once you have all these magic spells in your arsenal, then you can learn this one. I don't got the experience to learn these yet. I'll be doing that. But boom, you can learn this. And it tells you kind of how it works and stuff. And you cause them to have 35 negative movement, 100-foot radius. So this, and negative 5 AR, negative 5 ER for 4 rounds for 40 mana. That's deadly. So all these magic spells are coming together and they're pushing great force onto all the enemies around you and making it hard to move, giving you a huge advantage for 4 rounds. Actually, this needs to be, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. That needs to be 60. So I need to make it to a point where it's not spammable. And then you got a simple one, Bubble and Poison Mist. Bubble Gas. You learn these two, you can create a bubble and put Poison Mist into it. And you can put, it's pretty much like you're creating, you got 2 options. You can put them to your sides and behind you, so the opponent can only attack you from the front, giving you an advantage, or else they run into the bubble and get hit by the bubble and the poison and stuff like that. Or you can create bubble gas, and then you keep creating it if you want, and then you can run around or have a friend if you want, working together. They can have a push spell or a push special ability and push them into the bubbles themselves, creating like crazy massive damage while poisoning them. Or, actually there's a third one, I'm sorry. You can create many bubble gases, and then you could use a forceful wind and then blow them all at the enemy. So there's so many cool options you could do, right? Yeah. And Flowing Slicer, that Wind Slicer I talked about earlier. You have to learn Wind Slicer, Psychic Driver, and Manipulate Mana. Not Mantle. Mana. And then after you learn all these, you can activate this and learn Flowing Slicer. This one's different. This one's an interesting one. Listen to this. You cast a Wind Slicer of several while it flows in the Psychic Driver, which Psychic Driver is like you're controlling this mana with your mind in good control, and Manipulate Mana kind of like allows you to strengthen it and manipulate it better. It all works together. And control through the air with Manipulate Mana. Your next 2 turns, or spoken for, if you wanted to. You're pretty much automatically locked in and standing in one place, or spoken for, but it's as if you casted a spell for free on those turns. You can cancel a spell anytime you wish. You can only use support action if you have learned the ability Divine Departure. I have to look back into that. I think I was just cooking at the time. You can move through and use your inventory while concentrating on your magic. Oh, you have to get this so you can orbit in order to use support action. Because I mean, you're using a crazy controlling spell. So for you to do anything else would be take your focus away. Divine Departure will allow you to do that. So normally it costs you a whole bunch of mana to do a mana attack like that. That's even stronger. But since you use Flowing Slicer, if you think that you're going to be okay for the next 2 rounds, next round, boom, you're hitting him again with this. Next round, boom, you're hitting him again with this. And then it stops. You know? You do 8 damage plus 5 damage. Let's do 5 damage wind type. And then you add your intellect. Whatever your intellect is, you're doing that much damage. That's crazy. It could be 13, it could be up to 16. Just depends on kind of where you're at with your magic. Then plus wind. Come on, let's just do this. Wind type. And then plus 5-foot push. So every time it hits them, you can push them 5 feet. So you push them away from you if they came up to attack you, by the way, or just push them into something, or just push them in general. I don't know what the ×3 one is though. Maybe ×3. Nah, I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. We'll stick with that for now. And we got many other ones. That's so cool. Spike wall. So you create a wall normally where they have to block, it blocks you and stuff, and they have to destroy the wall if they want to get through. Well, putting rock spikes on it, they actually get damaged the more they attack it physically. Only if they attack it physically. So you got options there. Pool of Acid, with a combination of Pitfall and Acid Lake. Lighthouse is kind of cool. I was kind of excited when I came up with that, because I discovered that silver is an excellent conductor of electricity. It's just too expensive to do. And it ionized, or silvatites, or whatever it was called, creates some sort of thing when you do that. It's just not fully functional in real life. But anyway, good conductor of electricity. So I got Magic Spike Column, Arc Shock, and you learn Water Ball, and Silver Spike. You combine all these, and you're able to make Lighthouse. Okay? Spell. You create a large hollow rock pillar with water flowing through it and a silver spike at the top. Electric is stored up in it and it releases at the enemy for several rounds. So it's like a glowing, it almost looks like a lighthouse. The electricity is kind of sparking and letting light out. Then you can see through the water and stuff. And every round it hits him for 10 damage for 3 rounds. It's got 30 feet range. So you're pretty much creating like this ultimate trap, you know, anywhere that has 30 feet range. Pretty cool. And it's 28 mana. So I mean, in reality, if you have full mana, depending on how much you have, you can do like 2 right away. You know, so you got Lighthouse, boom, boom, 20 damage. Next round, boom, boom, 20 damage. You know? Actually, I need to add this. It is lightning type. Just in case they're weak against it. I mean, obviously the enemy might run away, but that could be used with a strategy, you know? Or maybe they're in a small room. You're gonna dominate. I got other cool stuff. And I'm planning on having a lot more. You got Caliber Summons. I made 2 important notices here, so the game don't break. Know that summons disappear after the fight is over. In the next one, you will have to summon again. You can create summons to do a task and have them linger for a minute. You know, just something kind of average and just, you know, normal. But they will disappear soon after their task is done. You can only summon one caliber summon at a time. This has reduced the amount of time one player would take and their turn primarily, but also it is the concentration of the magic user. It is difficult to control multiple unless you're a legendary and experienced magic user for years or a prodigy. Okay, I do this for 2 reasons. One, not to break the game, so you keep summoning all this strong stuff. You know, and I give an explanation on it too, so it kind of like brings it in the real world. You know, it's like, oh, why can't I do that? Well, it just makes sense that you can only control one summon at a time, you know? It's just too much concentration, too much mana. But here's the big thing, chat. Big thing is, drop my mouse. The big thing is something I didn't really like. I just didn't really say anything, you know? Is that if a character has multiple summons or pets or monsters, they'll have way more rounds than other players. And to me, that's not too fair, you know? And it's not even like the fair thing. Sometimes, you know, you could be okay with it. It just depends. But sometimes they get 3. So that's 3 rounds they have. And not only that, it takes super long to get through everybody. I mean, it already takes super long already in battles, you know, with even like 4 characters, let alone 6. But then if a character has like 3 extra ones and another character did like a summon and then they did like another summon or a pet, you know, like how many rounds would you have to get through to finally get to you? And you just realize all you wanted to do is guard because you're out of SP, you know? So very limited on summons and stuff like that. I'm trying to really balance that. So I don't want people to have too many rounds. You know, I want it to go fast and smooth and things of this nature. Yeah, the only way to heal is magical mend. It lets you know that. It's still in progress. I came up with a few caliber 1, 2, and 3 summons just to kind of get something on the page. But they're just assisting summons, you know? These are basic summons that assist you in combat. You can summon like an eagle that's made out of mana. Has only 6 HP, 6 ER. This is old text. And 6 evade roll, so it can get hit pretty easily, and only 2 stamina. So it could ram, and it could peck. You can do a body shield to take a hit for you. And this is a different one. Floating eye, that's kind of cool. I like this one. A floating eyeball made of magic in light blue. It looks encased in a mirror handle, and it stays near you at all times until it fades. Well, it's got 4 HP, and it's got 4 SP. Stamina points. It has no attacks. Can you believe that? It can't attack at all, but it's mostly used for its benefits when you summon this. So you do lookout. This will activate its eye and watch all around you, declaring a threat during that time and warning you. So you get +2 ER for that 1 round, and it uses 2 SP. So it can literally only do it once or twice. And once it's gone, it's gone. It's just a nice little bonus. It just floats there and waits, you know. And it can sacrifice block. It can take a hit for you. You know, if that's an option you want to do. Eye beam. And just it can do a little damage. You know, for 1 SP, by the way. So it only has 4 attacks. But, you know, if it needs to do a little attack somewhere, it can. And then you got more of an attack one. Eye blade. A floating eye about the size of half a human with 2 circled blades around it. It slams into the enemy and never looks away. So this goes a little bit more into the attack stuff. It's got a special ability where it does orbit. It's got two cool ones. It circles around its target and protects them. So you, or maybe an ally that you choose. Any physical damage done to them, the enemy will suffer as well, taking 3 damage if they do a physical attack against them for 2 rounds. It'll hover around them. Pretty cool. It's not bad. Constant bombardment. It's an interesting one. You lose all control of the summon, and it continually attacks and rams to the target until it's unsummoned or destroyed. So it does its 1d4 plus damage, 1 damage, but stuck in combat action. So you just let it do its thing. Every round, it'll just be hitting it with that. Let's do +2. I don't want to break it, but that'd be good. Shark spike. It's like a shark head that looks like a spike. Just something kind of cool. Got its own little thing. A mana wolf. Floating jellyfish. We all know this one from Elden Ring. We all like it. We all love it. Something a little like it. And then Caliber 2 summons. These are stronger summons that take dedication and talent to execute. So anything that's not a mage, necromancer, or a wizard can't learn it. A giant eagle. It's got its own stuff. Large snake. Giant crocodile. A lot of basic stuff too, but I'll be adding some cool stuff. Got a cute frog you can summon. Maybe some women players will like that. Mana Araxian Weaver, which is kind of cool because there's actually a real Weaver that you can use. But they balance on threads and stuff. Scissors throw, thread cut, square slicer, cool stuff. Summon a stone golem. Takes a lot of EXP to learn and a lot of mana to cast, but it's a good ally. That should be less though, to be honest with you. It should be 24. It's too much. A lot of cool stuff it could do. Then you got Caliber 3, so this is more like a necromancer's. Things that have flesh, or rotting flesh, or skeletons. So you got skeletons, decrepit spider, so like a really battle damaged spider. Zexapar. Got a samurai, sort of blind beetle looking thing. Then we go into some lore. Got the worlds. This I'll have to expand a lot on, and probably a lot more in another book, to be honest with you. But it's gonna give like big locations, and it's gonna give specifics of other locations within it, and it's also gonna give realms and dimensions, descriptions and places. So I really go into it pretty big. But Raintress, you know, is it's like the main thing, you know, it's where everything revolves around, where all the gods are, Zeniths, multiculturals, the Western Fairy Forest, the #1 magic school, Escalfone, home of the gods, and Aura Island. And then you got Ragnar, which is off to the left, the place far west of Raintress. And it goes a little bit more into it stuff. It's got a lot of ancient ghosts and magic. There's a lot less known, and some people don't know that magic exists over there, by the way. But they got a place where, believe it or not, with my lore, with Reaver Station's lore, there's a place surrounded by miles of swamp, and it's kind of isolated. Still a pretty big area, you know, pretty big country, but it's surrounded by swamp on all sides. Making help or trade or getting resources really hard, and getting help and stuff. So you got that sort of thing going on. And you got a couple of locations within it. Mirror Sound City, and I got some lore that goes with it. Which will be a lot more too. But Mana Flow, which is way off to the right of Raintress. It's where a lot of the mana crystals are from, like really huge ones. The second best mana school. They dive a lot into magic, and magic is almost integrated into their way of life. You know, a lot of wizards over there, mages, crazy monsters, and it's where a lot of the male gods called Retribute are at too. Yeah. And then you got Planet, the world engine. It's a giant world, pretty much like the Death Star, but it's a floating vehicle of planet. Giant pistons, and then all kinds of different stuff with it. You know, based on law, donors, investors, and counselors of other worlds who have a stake in it, allow people to come aboard and see the sights in the Planet engine themselves. But after a brief search and background check, some signatures and such, security guards and staff may follow you for a bit for everyone's safety. This include anyone, celestials, aliens, intelligent creatures, and mortals. But many places are off limits. They do not have many quests to fight off monsters who have landed on the world engine and threaten the safety of people or the engine itself. So it gives you a lot of quest possibilities, a lot of narratives and story plots. I try to do that. And I have some characters that's involved in it. I plan on writing a book about it, but later. And all kinds of stuff. It's got 4 main layers. All kinds of crazy stuff. I go big into lore with this one. And then you got another location in space. It's called Space Station Stagona, which means teardrop in Greek. So it looks like a giant teardrop space station or jellyfish sort of thing. Just a cool place to go to. And you got Rain City Drive. You know, it's got its own history and stuff. I think I discussed that in a previous stream. So check that one out if you want to learn more about that one. And I did some puzzles just to kind of have some ideas that you want to do puzzles and stuff to help out. Simple puzzles is sometimes puzzles are just that, puzzles. A simple roll or riddle is enough to have fun with. Feel free to search online or look at the Kinetica book, which would be my second book, with extra info and stuff. Book for more ideas or options. You know, just roll simple dice, you know. Just say that you discovered a puzzle and you as an RM kind of discuss it and say how you solved it and what was solved and things like that. Or you do trap puzzles. If a puzzle were to be failed, you still succeed but are punished. So you still succeed, but you just have to deal with whatever it is that you punished. So the story moves forward, but it's also got its drawbacks. Either with damage or loot destroyed. You know, you can do that. Damage, enemy battle could be one, or loot destroyed. Lock in and finish puzzles. This is so you can warn them, be like, hey, this has to be solved. This is a puzzle you must continually try to solve, even if you fail. Often being damage or a trap closing in on the party, or monsters you have to defeat each time you fail. That's just another one you can do. And then scattered puzzles. This is where you can go like different places and stuff like that. Fight an enemy, solve a puzzle, or do something like that to pull a lever. You know, things like that. And you have to go to another room, pull one to finally, you know, unlock something. And you can take that as far as you want to go. Some ideas for puzzles you may use. You may use a riddle. You could play a game of rock, paper, scissors. Just options. You can roll dice. You can play a mini game of chess, possibly 2 minutes, and whoever has the most pieces win, or a full game if you want. Up to the RM and players, even the difficulty. Guess the number between 1 to 20. RM and player guesses the number, then rolls. Whoever is closer wins. One fight against a monster, teleporting or transporting to another dimension where the monster is defending the treasure or door. So you're pretty much on your own fighting a monster to get through. Play any small conventional game to decide, think outside the box. Could be Jenga. Who knows? And it goes a little bit more into counters, extensions, clashes, disruptions, and interruptions. Counters where you can fight back while you're getting attacked. And goes more into that. Extensions where after your normal or special ability attack, you can add an extra hit. Interruptions. This is a stopping attack, and it's while you pull off like some sort of spikes around your body, or you're able to stop attack or do damage as they're doing the attack. Or interruptions can also be when an attack is coming at you like a beam or something. You can go into a clash. And I think that's if you buy a special ability. I still need to define this a little bit more. Yeah, I have to figure this out. It's just it's still cooking. Or I might have to come up with a different name for this. Yeah. We can go into a clash, almost like a Dragon Ball Z beam struggle sort of thing. And disrupt. Yeah, you can disrupt people's charged attacks. Now this one's the big one. I've debated whether or not I should talk about this one because I think it's going to be pretty big. And out of all the ideas, out of everything that's going on, I think that someone could steal all my ideas, which, it's neither here or there. A game's either going to be a good game or not. And my own creative touch is going to be what defines it. But I got a really cool idea that hopefully will set me apart from other things. And this is going to be a little teaser. We'll skip through this. But there's going to be a Coliseum and tournament thing. In-game and out-of-game, believe it or not. But I won't say any more than that. But there will be awesome, cool Coliseums and tournaments that you can go and do and get rewards and cool stuff from it. And even like big, challenging battles that are placed in front of you. And you get to figure out how you and your team is going to handle it, right? It's going to be cool. But yeah, I'll skip that for now. You got dimensions. You got Ballroom Mansion, where you pretty much dance. I go pretty in depth with it. And the event is called the Black Masquerade. I plan on making a book about it. I have been developing it, but that's gonna be on the back burner for a while. Just saying. But it does exist. And it's breathing life a little bit right here. But pretty much like multiple layers of this dimension that this one person made. He's got powerful artifact mask that gives him power, but he needs mana to keep his dimension and to keep expanding and to keep the mask, his powers. Keep his powers, not the mask. But pretty much he has dances with the mages and wizards and stuff. You have to dance. But you also can cast spells at each other as you're dancing and to disrupt the other people. But the thing is, you gotta be careful because if you cast a spell and you look, it breaks your form while you're dancing and it don't look good, the judges will deduct points. And then the other magic users that are dancing also have each other's back and they're defending. And they can actually use your attack to make their dance look better. So if you shoot a fireball and whatnot. It's like sloppy, and you like try to throw like a pitch, it deducts points from you, but you're trying to take another another couple out, but then they use a barrier just at the right time, and the fire soars all around you, and they choose like to do like this crazy spin in the air together, all flames all around. It could give them even extra points. You know, it just one of those cool things where they're trying to do like a death match of like dancing and magic, and you have to be always aware of how good you look when you're dancing. Yeah, but that's this dimension. And then you got realms, which are like full-on worlds with different realities and different cultures and civilizations and rules. Got the Rainbow Realm. You have to collect all kinds of cool stuff around the world and whatnot, and then head to the specific place with like these two spirits, and they'll open the Rainbow Realm to you. And when you're there, you can ride rides that give you experience points. You get amazing rare foods and dishes, information, rare items, all kinds of cool stuff there. It's just like a fun place to go, and you get really buff. You got the Intercon Realm. I talked a little bit about that. And there's more realms I gotta develop. Angel Realm, Afterlife, not possible to reach. And leveling up, you know, we are getting to that where it's leveling up just pretty much opens up new doorways for you. You know, it's a ladder, it's steps, but it don't really improve your stats at all. You have to pretty much use EXP to purchase them. Yeah, so leveling up just opens the door. It's up to you to walk through. And then actually increasing your stats is either you buy them with your EXP, or you do basic training right here. So basically what you do, it's a part of your 24 hours thing. It takes one hour to do training, and once you pay the 50 coin, you can roll the dice, 1d20 dice, up to 5 times. Boom! You roll, you get an A. Roll, you get another A, and then, oh my gosh, I got 3 8s in a row. What the hell? 14 and 10. You know, so that's 16 plus 24, like 32 or something like that. Whatever. So technically, you just beat into the hard training. So you get plus 10 HP and plus 3 SP. But since you didn't pay for the 100 coin, you're only going to get the basic training and whatever. You're just trying to beat that, which really you don't even need to roll for this one, to be honest with you. But you can still roll, because maybe if you got like a 19, like or a 20, you could spend 1 more hour to roll again. So you get another roll, boom, and then whatever you paid, and you get that amount, you'll have that bonus. So say you paid 100 coins and you did get that, you get 10 HP plus 3 stamina points for training. And then the more you pay, the more that you'll get. But I mean, if you get pretty bad rolls, which you get pretty good rolls regardless, to be honest with you, and then you can spend 1 hour to keep rolling. And normally, if you want 3 full recoveries, you have like 6 extra rolls to get up to masterful training if you want it. Right? Yeah. 3 hours, huh? Yeah, I'm trucking through this. 3 hours, we reached 176 pages. Sheesh. Brutal, brutal, brutal. But yeah, this is an important one. This is very important. Then you got riders, which is pretty cool. Ah! And riders are pretty much, you know, collectibles of like monsters and beasts that you can buy, find, capture, train, win, all sorts of different stuff. It's pretty cool. You know, you can buy a rider farm and keep them there. And you could ride them and have them come with you and follow you. They'll travel over water, you know, ponds, lakes, rivers. Use them to go through sharp, rocky terrain that would otherwise be hard to get through or damage you as you go through. Lava beds that reach treasures and stuff like that you otherwise would get damaged or you can't travel to. Deep snow, you know, to reach treasure and stuff. And some sky, you know, you can some ones that can fly. But the thing is, if you have Beast Tamer, or I think it's Beast Tamer, Beastmaster, something like that, and also if you pay for a trainer, you can actually have them fight in the battle with you as well, and we'll get into that, so they can actually assist you. But once they escape, they're escaped forever. But also, they don't go into the fallen state or faint. If they reach 0 HP, they're done. So you gotta be always careful and wary of that. And I kind of designed it that way just a little bit so that people could they wouldn't dominate, and each character would have, you know, 2 extra rounds. You know, I did want to limit that. So you can buy a rider form, which you would have to do if you want more than 1 rider. You can't collect every rider